And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to what is going to be the final broadcast for the League of Legends Summer Split here in the Upsurge esports area. We are here with the Upsurge Minor League Grand Finals. My name is Orbital. I'm joined here by Guster Posey as we are bringing you this best of 5 series between Wulfpack Vengeance and the, indomitable Honeyfruit Gaming, who have made their way through the losers bracket. Guster, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and I'm excited for this best of 5 because Honeyfruit Gaming has had quite a run here to the grand finals here in the UML. I casted their first playoff series against Gothboy Click when their jungler DC'd and had to run to the local McDonald's for Wi-Fi to play out the rest of the series. And then in the loser bracket or lower bracket finals against Gothboy Click yet again, they were up 2-0. Then Gothboy Click subbed out a bunch of people. Their jungler went top. Their top went ADC. They brought in a new jungler, and they won 2 games to bring it to game 5, and they ended up winning. So they have had a heck of a run to get here, and we're already into the draft.
Yeah, again, this is going to be a fantastic matchup. Once again, Grand Finals always brings out the best in people, so very excited to see what occurs here. We do already have Honeyfruit Gaming on the blue side. We have Gangplank, Volibear, and Olaf banned away, so heavy targets toward that jungle in top side, whereas Wulfpack Vengeance are looking to ban away the Thresh and Gragas, looking for that third ban, but so far, heavy targets around those jungle picks with Chingbear and Dreams leading the charge in terms of, who the teams don't want to play against.
Yeah, and we've seen Dreams play both the Volibear and the Olaf, as well as Chingbear playing the Gragas and the Kayn and being quite effective on those picks, so it makes sense to take them out. It does limit the jungle pool a little bit there in terms of what style you can play. You take out the Olaf and the Volibear. Those are the kind of skirmishy fighting kinds, as well as the Gragas and the Kayn. But, Gragas and Kayn do scale up a little bit, so we'll see where they're trying to go here at the draft. I was going to say, Caitlyn is up and available, even though she got hit with the nerf hammer just a little bit, gave her a bruised thumb. She's still probably the queen of the bot lane right now.
Yeah, they said, hey, you know what? You can't run as fast as you normally want to. So I think that's about all they did. But again, Ziggs and Set picked up on the other side. Ziggs making a return in that mid lane. So Scary Jerry going to be taking that one and potentially taking down some towers.
You could also potentially throw it down bottom lane too to kind of match the Caitlyn in terms of range with your bouncing bomb being able to do that. But like you said, we have seen Ziggs return even in professional play, even just played today in LEC in the mid lane as well. So interesting to see that. And then Set, he's been a stalwart of the meta ever since he's come out. Can go top, jungle, mid, support, can be the carry in the bottom lane with a Senna. He does it all.
Yeah, he really does. The man that only needs his fist to really show what he's made of. Morgana picked up. So the solo queue, just terror on the Rift is going to be locked in. Caitlyn, Morgana, that bot lane, Yoo-Hoo, and Orbit will be taking that most likely, and we'll have to see how they can play against it. Again, Thorngrim and Superstar will definitely have to find their way around that scary duo. Graves picked up for the side of Chingbear again. 4 junglers taken off the table, so he defaults to the Graves, who, again, still a very top-tier jungler right now.
Yeah, it definitely has a bit less of the playmaking potential of something like the Gragas or even the Kayn once he is transformed is able to do. Graves very much just I'm here to fight, I'm here to shoot stuff and throw smoke grenades, but definitely is able to make things happen early in terms of skirmishes and is able to power farm his way through the early game. And then obviously that Caitlyn Morgana bottom lane is the stuff of nightmares, and matching it with the Senna is Wulfpack, so trying to fight range with range. And we'll see what they decide to pick in terms of support, if they do want to throw that Set down into the bottom lane against the Morgana, or if they want to pick something like the Karma. But the Set Senna is one of the original bottom lanes where the fasting Senna sort of came to be. So we'll see where they decide to go into this Caitlyn Morgana.
Yeah, definitely have to wait and see. Akali banned away Yasuo on the other side, so definitely seems like Honeyfruit Gaming feel that the Ziggs is actually in the bottom lane for Wulfpack Vengeance. They say, okay, ban away the Yasuo, just don't allow that champion on the Rift. We are looking for the last few bans here, and that is going to be the Galio. So taking away that safety from the double ADC composition that HFG have started to put together.
Yeah, just Galio, whenever he's in the meta, you always have to keep him in the back of your mind because just his ultimate allows so much global pressure. And even without the ult, he's still able to just show up on flanks and land, jump on into your team, taunt him on up, and make things happen. But Vladimir being picked up here more than likely for the top lane and going to counterpick it with the Mordekaiser, which can do pretty well into Vladimir as long as he gets a bit of an edge early on before Vladimir gets to that, the CDR power spike, the 20-25% CDR before he hits towards that level 11 with the rank 2 Hemo Plague. Mordekaiser can get stuff done in that lane if he's able to land the E and pull the Vladimir into him. Otherwise, Vlad should have a pretty good time just chilling back and letting things happen, maybe picking this Mordekaiser more towards the team fights. And that is an AP Kog'Maw to counter pick the Ziggs. And I like that because it's one of the few things that can outrange Ziggs and apply just as much pressure on a wave.
Yeah, this is a Kog'Maw mid. Now that came up. If you can correct me if I'm wrong here, which I think I probably am, but it came about 3 to 4 patches ago when they buffed his AP ratios. After I think Riot said they wanted to make him an ADC again. So very surprising. But again, the pick is coming out in a surprising turn. On the other side, they lock in the lovers duo, the other lovers duo. Lucian and Senna will be rounding out that bottom lane. So all the compositions have been set with a heavy poke lane coming out from HFG and a kind of all-in composition coming out of Wulfpack Vengeance.
Yeah, there is possibility that they do throw the Lucian mid to try to bully the Kog'Maw a little bit too. So we'll see exactly where everything goes. Because with Senna, you have so many options with the Senna. Out of these champions, the only one that can traditionally jungle anyway is the Set. I have seen people playing Ziggs and Lucian jungle and solo queue somewhat recently, but not necessarily the thing you would expect to see in the grand finals. But you never know.
The cheese is starting out in game number 1 instead of game number 3.
Yeah. But it definitely is just a very standard sort of team comp for the side of Honeyfruit, and Wulfpack has the set to go in to combo with the Vladimir and the follow-up of the Ziggs ult and the Senna ult and Lucian dashing in the mid line too. So lots of good stuff to see out of the comp of Wulfpack, and Honeyfruit's team comp is just there to set up sieges. They have the threat of the Morgana and the Mordekaiser to get you on in, and then Caitlyn Graves and Kog'Maw are shooting you from just out of arm's reach.
Yeah, and it does worry me a little bit that Honeyfruit Gaming have kind of put all of their CC into one basket, right? The Morgana is pretty much the only one that can lock down a singular target. The rest of it is like a mad scramble, right? So that'll be really interesting to keep track of when we head towards the mid to late game. But just as you predicted, Guster, with 100% accuracy on the prediction, Scary Jerry is taking that Lucian mid lane, saying, all right, we will bully you all the way through. That is going to put a hamper into Honeyfruit Gaming's plan.
Yeah, and it also gives them a little bit of an easier time in bottom. Still not going to be the easiest thing ever to lane against a Caitlyn. I've seen some teams decide to play Sivir into it as the old school sort of thing, but Ziggs can kind of counteract the range early on. The only thing is Caitlyn doesn't require mana to hit you from far away, and Ziggs does. So we'll see how well the Ziggs Senna bottom lane can go, but there is a lot of tower destruction capability there. I've seen teams play Caitlyn with a Ziggs support before and win a game in 16 minutes. Shoutouts to NCSU. That was fun times back in the Seabold days. But Ziggs is a menace on his own at taking towers and has the range to kind of try to stand up to the Caitlyn. So it's going to come down to what Orbit on the Morgana is able to accomplish. Because, as soon as you get hit by that binding, man, that is essentially like a death sentence. Thresh is banned, but there still will be death sentences in this game. Because if you get bound up, you get hit by the trap, you get hit by the net, you get hit by the crazy headshots, there's just not a whole lot of hope for you.
It really isn't. It's the old school, okay, I'll sit here for 3 minutes while you just pop me off. It's just like all the headshots, all the hits. It's just a nasty combination they're taking into the bottom lane. So we'll definitely have to keep track and see how that lane sets up. Again, that is a Ziggs Senna bot lane. So the return fire is definitely there. So I'm very interested to see how that lane props up. However, I do want to get your opinion here because we've been kind of focusing with how the Caitlyn and Morgana is going to set up against the Ziggsena. Do you think that is the most standout lane that we're going to see visited by the junglers, or do you see either the top or mid taking priority for either of these teams?
Yeah, junglers probably going to be top side, mid and top, because the Mord Vlad can swing wildly either way. If Mordekaiser doesn't get things done early game, we all know Vladimir scales almost as hard as any champion that has ever existed in League of Legends, as well as AP Kog'Maw too. If the Lucian isn't able to establish a presence in the mid lane and bully him out, if the Kog'Maw hits 6 and more later on 11 and 16 without much issue, he gets to that point where he's hitting you from off of your screen, where you are just dodging these things coming out of nowhere. And Lucian, doesn't scale the best. Does all right now that he builds crit instead of Blade of the Ruin King Black Cleaver, but he ain't no AP Kog'Maw.
Yeah, definitely not. So definitely have to keep track of those. Again, the long range versus the skirmish heavy composition coming out of Wulfpack Vengeance. We'll definitely have to see who takes the victory in this game number 1. Again, this is game number 1 of a best of 5. So just setting the tempo here. So we'll definitely have to keep track. Again, we will go to a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. We do have a quick word from one of our sponsors, and then we'll be right back as we go live onto Summoner's Rift. Don't go anywhere, and please don't touch that browser.
Started with a vision. A vision of quality, a vision of uniformity.
We took the time to create something familiar yet refreshing, something with a bit of change.
Designed to fit any brand's unique vision.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are on to the Rift for game number 1 between Honeyfruit Gaming and Wulfpack Vengeance on the blue side. We do have Honeyfruit Gaming, Scuzzrat in the top lane, Chingbear in the jungle, Killer Guy in the mid lane, Yoo-Hoo at ADC, and Orbit on that support role.
And for Wulfpack Vengeance on the right side, we got Endpoint top, Dreams in the jungle, Scary Jerry mid lane, Thorngrim, and Superstar 1 down in the bot lane. And just a standard 5-point coming on out here, and nothing too crazy in terms of runes or starting items, aside from the Ignite Graves, which we have seen a bit in some competitive matches. We saw it in the LCS. I don't see it in solo queue as much as I thought I would, but every once in a while you come across it.
Yeah, I mean, it takes quite a bit of confidence to be able to play that in solo queue of all things. I usually assume if there's an Ignite on the Graves, he usually has a duo that he's going to be following around. So I don't take solo queue players to run without unless they're Hecarim. Hecarims are the main dangerous ones. But again, we are gonna have to take a look and make sure and check if he is going to be okay. Again, no flash on the Graves, meaning he is heavily reliant on his team, as we do get into a pause here automatically. So a little bit more time until we see anything happen on the Rift.
Yeah, but just looking here, there were some wards thrown down. Both junglers back, picked up their sweeper trinket. We're going to have to pause again. Let's call it at 125 just to sync up our spectator clients, because the Riot Games spectator client is always lovely. So just waiting on production to let us know.
Yep. So we will be getting underway. We will be getting underway here very, very shortly. Again, thank you so much. Again, pauses are never fun, but they do happen as laners do start on both sides. Top lane for the junglers, as we will have a mirrored start here.
Yeah, and that signals that these junglers going down to get pressure around this first dragon, try to sway this bottom lane one way or the other, because they both understand that, hey, Caitlyn Morgana, super oppressive, so we're going to try to stall that out with the Zig, see if he can't do some wave clear to try to make sure that the wave is in a decent enough spot for them to not just get all the free plates. So we'll see what they're going to do here. Set running down first because his Grump is down on the bottom side, but I'm really going to look to see what this Lucian in the mid lane is able to accomplish, because Lucian, the early game sort of bully ADC, we'll see how much of a lead he's able to get on this Kog'Maw here.
Yep, and as we hit 2 minutes 30 seconds on the dot already, we do see Set roaming towards that bottom lane as Superstar tries to lay down some poke. They actually bounce Yoo-Hoo straight back in, and the heals come out from both sides, so now Dream is going to have a little bit of a hold as that root goes out, but Orbit tries to flash away, still slowed down, and first blood going over to the side of Wulfpack Vengeance, already claiming a little bit of extra gold for themselves.
Yeah, and that was a fantastic satchel from Thorngrim to force Yoo-Hoo to blow the heal, and Orbit was still level 2, did not have the Black Shield, took the pool, so did not have Black Shield to prevent the Set from landing that stun, and fantastic follow-up, and there's Dreams getting Wulfpack on the board.
Yep, very nice early roam, and again, the early pathing was what really gave it to him, I feel, having gone from that top straight to the bot side, so early fights, and then the over-aggressive, thinking of Orbit saying, okay, we won't have to trade anytime soon, so I'll take the more aggressive skill. That does end up being Yoo-Hoo's downfall, so didn't even burn the flash, as he didn't need to, but his support definitely took that hit, so we will have to wait and see how that affects the bottom lane, as mid lane, Killer Guy and Scary Jerry are just like, all right, we'll trade blows back and forth, it's okay.
Yeah, and Lucian already about a wave up in CS, so we'll see if that trend continues, because Killer Guy really has no way to trade back. It looked like just absolutely zero attack speed there, turned the W on, but it's not ADC. Kog'Maw was able to get an auto or two off, and Lucian doing Lucian things, but the story there is that Dreams was able to get both Scuttle Crabs and is back to clearing. So he should have a small bit of a level advantage once he gets those camps done, and we'll see what Chingbear can do knowing that he's up farming now.
Yeah, and here we go, gank into that mid lane as we do see Scary Jerry getting popped down by the shotgun. That's going to be a jump away. Oh, the E misses as Killer Guy attempts to flash for the kill. Doesn't get anything. However, they did get the flash. Binding actually on the bottom lane, though, does hit. That is going to be Thorngrim taking down to about half health. Root goes out as more damage falls through for both of the carries in the bottom lane. Everything goes back to quiet with no summoners being burnt.
Yeah, just overall, you see what the Caitlyn Morgana is able to accomplish. They're already building quite the CS lead for themselves here, and because Ziggs has to spend a bunch of mana to actually get all this CS, especially when it's under tower, has to try and last it. It's not the easiest thing to last it with mages early on, especially for some ADC players who are used to, being able to do the 2 shots for melees, 1 for ranged, and then some autos mixed in there. Ziggs, it's a little bit different for Ziggs.
It's a little bit different, about 20 attack damage difference, I think, right there. So it's a little bit problem. You'd think bombs would do a little bit more than that,
Especially,
but they definitely
he
don't.
also started corrupting potions, so doesn't even have the extra on hit from the Dorn's ring either. So
Yeah, feels bad, man. However, does look like Wulfpack Vengeance have cemented their lead in the bottom lane, allowing them to take an early Drake that will be Infernal Drake going over the side of Wulfpack Vengeance. They claim that extra 4% AD and AP and say thank you very much.
yeah, and Senna's already almost to her first upgrade on her Absolution passive. Is 15 out of 20 for the first upgrade, so she's been getting pretty lucky with the amount of souls that are spawning, as well as getting the 2 free souls off of that dragon. I believe she got a bunch off of these minions. There's one where I saw like 3 minions die, and she got 2 souls out of the back line of a wave. So some good RNG there for the Senna in the early game.
Yeah, definitely helps that she's not the one grabbing the CS as well. So again, we'll definitely have to keep track. That is something that is very important, that it upgrades the attack damage as well as the range. So definitely want to keep track of that. Thorngrim standing in the pool a little bit as Orbit says, all right, let's try and get a little bit of pressure back on this bottom side. Mid lane, seeing some attention from both junglers. That did look like it was just a quick visit. Nothing too crazy, as we have another pause here. Very unfortunate, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But again, overall, Wulfpack Vengeance in game number 1 definitely getting small incremental leads.
Yeah, and that's what their comp is designed for. With the Set and the Lucian, Set with his base damages is very strong and is capable of dueling even the Graves early on in the game. So using the power of the Set to parlay that into the first dragon, they end up getting the first blood. Lucian has less of a CS lead now than he did, but he is still Lucian and will be stronger earlier on than the Kog'Maw will be. So we'll see if they can translate that into allowing this Vlad and Ziggs time, and Senna as well, time to scale up, because these two teams all scale relatively well compared to each other. It's just in different positions.
Yeah. Now, I do want to get your opinion because, again, we say scaling, and obviously both compositions have drastically different win conditions, right? One of them is pure siege. One of them is pretty heavy skirmish / siege. If you had to choose a side to be on the scaling, on the scaling momentum here, which one would you go for? Because, I mean, both these sides have the different win conditions and different priorities. However, it seems that the bottom lane is very much heavily in favor of Yuhu and Orbit in terms of the CS advantage, but the pressure just might not be there.
Yeah, if I had to pick a side purely based on champions that are selected, it's hard to bet against Vladimir, right? Mm-hmm. His ultimate just allows your whole entire team to do more damage. So you combine that with the AoE just out of Ziggs alone. Like you combine the Hemo play with the Mega Inferno Bomb. That sounds like a team fight win if you're able to land those two abilities onto pretty much anyone, but especially if you're able to land it onto the key targets. You can completely just force a team to back right on out of a team fight just by getting hit with those and literally nothing else. Mm-hmm. But if it does get to the point where Mordekaiser is winning side lanes, then I think that Honeyfruit has a good shot at this game as long as the Kog'Maw stays where he's at, just a bit down on the Lucian and hasn't died yet. Hopefully his leg gets resolved, as that is the reason why we are pausing, is he is reconnecting or resetting his modem. So hopefully that goes better for him. It's always something with Honeyfruit, it seems.
Yeah, well, we will be underway, and I mean, hopefully they can get back on the, on that train because again, top lane currently going in favor of Endpoint. He's up about 10 CS. Mid lane also with the visits from both junglers, Scary Jerry currently only has like a 4 CS lead, and in terms of gold difference, it's only about 50, so still very even in that mid lane. So, looking down the line with how Dreams and Chingbear have visited that mid lane, do you think we'll see more pressure towards there? Do you think we'll start seeing some rotations towards those global objectives with the Dragon coming up, 4 minutes from now, but, heavy diversion there or towards the Rift Herald?
Yeah, I definitely think that they're going to try to pressure in on that Rift Herald. You might as well try to get every objective you can while the AP Kog'Maw is still weak, as we are going to unpause here. But it's a lot easier for them to get pressure on the Dragons and the Rift Herald with the Lucian in the mid lane compared to the AP Kog'Maw, who just has a tier. As Endpoint is feeling the wrath of Mordekaiser a little bit there.
Yeah, AoE damage always fun to go against, as Scuzzrat says, okay, I'll take my win, I'll pressure in a little bit, and try and get some vision down. We see multiple wards on that top side, Scuzzrat saying he really doesn't want to deal with Dreams coming up and trying to fight him. Again, he is level 7 as well, so he does have that opportunity to pull one enemy into a 1v1.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big thing to look out for later, too, is the QSS tax, making the enemy team spend that gold, but there's set going on in.
Yeah, we do see that fight as the showstopper brings back Chingbear. That's going to be quick damage as the Haymaker takes him extremely low. One more auto white into it. No, Chingbear is going to start running away. That is going to be a Q missing, as surprisingly no one dies in that entire engage, and Chingbear gets out with his life.
Yeah, there is the Death Realm, though, so we'll see if Endpoint can survive.
Yeah, this is going to be quite close, as we do see Endpoint stealing up on the health. He's going to try and get away, but he has a flash. He has a flash, but Scuzz predicts it. Well done, 1v1, going in favor of the Rat.
Yeah, Scuzzrat just coming on in, cleaning the clock off of Endpoint, following that flash with his own, getting that bop on down. Vlad shouldn't lose too much, though. He has teleport to come back and catch the rest of this wave, but that solo kill shows that Scuzzrat's here to play.
Yeah, absolutely. He now evens up the CS, if not just for a moment. As we did see Killer Guy actually TP back mid, and now with the Living Artillery in his back pocket, he will be able to push this lane under tower. Not only that, Scary Jerry actually got off a very poor back timer, I believe, so he was not able to back at the time that he wanted, so he is stuck here with about 15% mana.
Yeah, so it'll take him some time to push this wave, and now is when Killer Guy gets to have fun with the game. The Living Artillery is pretty short range at level 6, or, rank 1, so has to kind of put himself in a little bit of harm's way to clear the wave, but he should be just fine. And, the more AP he gets, the easier it is for him to just one-shot a wave with an E and then one charge of the Living Artillery. And actually, it is the side of Honeyfruit who are prioritizing this Rift Herald, so
yep, that is
a
gonna
bit
be
opposite of what I had predicted there, as they are getting it. So the Grave is trying to flex his muscles early on.
Yep, that is the hope as we do start rolling in to the latter stages of the 9 minutes. So 9 minutes, 40 seconds on the dot. As we do see Thorngrim now trying to pressure out. Again, this bottom lane has definitely been back and forth. Just one team trying to pull and one team trying not to. As we are experiencing some technical difficulties, so we will try and keep you updated as to the state of the game. Again, we will keep you updated. We are getting some updates from our production. However, again, we'll keep you just with the blind play-by-play, just like you're listening to the radio, right? We'll try and give it a test. That would be very interesting to try and do. We will have a very short setup here. We're trying to remedy it, so we will hold steady. But again, all lanes pretty quiet, 1-1 so far. So every single member on both these teams is definitely taking this game, or taking this first game very seriously.
Yeah, and I believe we are going to try and pause and resync with production here. Unfortunately, technical stuff happens, but yeah, the game very even right now. And the Lucian pick hasn't shown much dominance just yet. But Yeah, so should be back live and synced up now, but I really want to see this Lucian try to flex his muscle somewhere because he hasn't accomplished much of anything yet. The Kog'Maw was playing pretty safe during lane, so you can't try to fault him too hard for that, but I really want to see what they can do around this next dragon, which has just spawned, and Dreams is already on it.
Yeah, that's going to be the Black Shield onto Chingbeer as they do try and fight, but Dreams is ready to go all the way in. He jumps all the way forward. That's going to be the showstopper dropping all the way down. Mega Inferno Bomb claims that kill as Thorngrim gets his first of the game. Scary Jerry dancing around the backside. We are seeing a full collapse. That's going to be the flash forward into the root. That's going to be the Culling claiming the kill, and the Lovers duo is able to snag a kill for the Lucian. You're wondering if we were going to see Scary Jerry take some initiative on this character, and he is able to do it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you wanted to see out of Wulfpack there, recognizing that as the 4v4 on the bottom side, they are just straight up stronger right now as long as the Ziggs has mana. As flash for flash.
Yeah, that's going to be Scary Jerry flashing over the wall, but this is a little bit close. One more auto will do it. Scary Jerry able to take it again. Unfortunately, Killer ran out of mana, as we do see top lane as well. Another fight as Endpoint might be going down here. The AoE might be enough. The healing is not there, and Scuzzrat takes his second solo kill of the game.
Yeah, and this is when it starts to get a little bit scary for Endpoint. Not for the entire game, because he is still Vladimir, but for the next, 10 or so minutes, if this is just going to keep happening, he's going to have a rough go of things. Because, a snowballing Mordekaiser is definitely something to look out for. And, short of buying a QSS, there's really not a whole lot that Endpoint can really do except just try to survive, try to use his pool to the best of his ability. And even when he did that right there, still just going on down in the Death Realm.
Yep. Falling to that Mordekaiser is not what you want to have happen again, especially since Endpoint was definitely drafted to be one of the primary carries in that late game. We were talking about how that champion has so much potential to be able to, one-shot the backline, get that Hemoplague down, get the burst damage like you would hope. At this point, we're not going to see that until maybe 40 minutes in, if the game even goes that long.
Yeah, and, if you are for the side of Honeyfruit, you kind of hope the game goes that long so that we have Caitlyn and Kog'Maw have some time to scale up. So both teams kind of want the same thing in a sense. Obviously, Wulfpack has the tools to try to end the game early as Jerry just pops off, absolutely destroys the butterfly.
That feels bad. That feels bad, but that's also what we were looking for, as bot lane is cleared out, but very, very well done by Scary J to be able to claim that kill. Now we see the pressure on the bottom lane. That is going to be the Rift Herald dropped, and that's going to be 2 plates claimed. We might see tower actually going down. Nope, going to be held at 1 plate left. So lots of gold going back into the pockets of Honeyfruit Gaming, but they are down right now 2 dragons and about 3 kills. Top lane once again. Scuzz just saying, get out of my lane.
Yeah, and has that level 11, has the rank 2 Death Realm there. Endpoint still just trying to survive, trying to grab some Krug, see if he can hit level 11 for that rank 2 Hemoplague, which would give him more healing. But, Mordekaiser just steals your base stats, so it's hard for you to do much of anything in the Death Realm against him. It's unfair. But, that's the way the champ was designed, so QSS's Dawning Shadow does come out there trying to look for a dive, perhaps.
Oh, yoo-hoo. Oh, there it's gonna be. Luden's proc takes the kill. That's what you either call really skilled or really lucky, depending on which side you're on.
Yeah, well, in that dragon fight before where Thorngrim flashed after Chingbear, I think he thought that his short fuse passive was up, and that's why he flashed in for the auto earlier on and didn't get it. So we'll just call it this calculation was better than the last calculation.
Gotta agree with you there, but so far, first tower as well as multiple kills on that bottom side have really cemented this Ziggs pick as a solid performance so far. They get first tower early on. They're going to start rotating the Ziggs into that mid lane and allow Scary Jerry to start doing what Lucian in the mid lane likes to do best, which is split push.
Yeah, and they're playing the Ziggs almost like you would play the Caitlyn. Take the outer tower, rotate them around, so use that Sash Shield to take more towers. This Ziggs is kind of just AP Caitlyn and is doing a pretty good job of answering this Caitlyn pick.
Yeah, I don't believe he's actually leveling his... actually, he is. He is actually leveling his satchel charge. So what people might not know is, you know, the higher it goes, the easier it is to take the towers. So, however, a lot of Ziggs like to go for the bombs more, you know, get that extra damage down. But he is definitely going for that tower taking spree.
Yeah, and we'll see if he decides to build the Lich Bane second, because that also adds to your tower taking potential. When Ziggs bottom lane was meta a few years back, it was like Apollo and other players like that playing the Ziggs bottom in Season 8. That was the thing. You max the W second, you build yourself a Lich Bane, and you just go and you two-shot towers with your passive and the Lich Bane and the W. It was definitely interesting. They have nerfed him a little bit since then, but the premise is still there.
Mm-hmm. Premise is definitely still there, and the threat is definitely there. We do see Qingbear and Orbit rotating towards that mid lane, clearing out some wards along the way. But I think Dreams was able to spot them out. Keep track of the summoners. Every summoner spell is available. So very explosive fight, potentially breaking out around this third Drake that is going to be the Ocean Drake. So very important soul coming up, depending on who gets it.
Yeah, and Scary Jerry did stop Killer Guy's back, so it buys them some time before he can back and purchase and teleport himself back on in here. But looks like they're just gonna give this one up, maybe throw out a Hail Mary.
Oh, that's gonna be Dreams wondering what happened. Saint Vicious, is that you? Scary Jerry goes over the wall but gets hit by the binding as well. That's gonna be the Dawning Shadow not claiming the kill, but the Mega Inferno Bomb does! Thorngrim with the downtown shot claims a Retribution kill. That's gonna be a nice little pull in as Skuzrat again grabs the Yordle by the throat into the Death Realm. That should be a kill. Skuzrat getting the last hit with the Mallet. As the fight continues, in goes Endpoint trying to claim a little bit extra damage, but he doesn't have a completed item, so his burst potential is not available. Massive play coming out of Qingbear here in the 11th hour, it feels.
Yeah, Endpoint coming in with a bit of a garage sale Vladimir build here. Looks like he's trying to build Spellbinder and Zhonya's and Protobelt all at the same time. You gotta believe that he could have the Protobelt and most of Zhonya's done, but just buying a bunch of raw AP is still a bit up in CS compared to Skuzrat, but 3 kills to being 0-2 definitely puts him at a bit of a disadvantage there. But coming with the teleport, he had the right idea, just didn't have the firepower to get it done.
Yeah, definitely didn't. And I mean, now with that hold, there is going to be no third Drake scenario. So I mean, Honeyfruit Gaming can definitely wipe their brow, take a little bit of that pressure away, and they're still holding steady. Yes, they are down by about 1.5, but that difference is hardly anything to worry about this late into the game.
Yeah, definitely not. They still scale just fine. We do have the AP Kog'Maw with his Seraphs nearly completed at about 550 out of 750, so not too far away is that. But Scary Jerry is just being a big old bully.
That was probably one of the more stylish ways I've seen someone get a jump on an opponent, blast rooted his way directly behind Killer Guy, and Killer Guy just turned around and said, well, this is my life now.
Yep, and there's another satchel to break the tower. Ziggs actually building Leandries, so deciding, you know what? I'm just going to be throwing out a bunch of pokes, so we might as well build the Leandries to maximize what that poke can do. And when he inevitably ends up having to fight Skuzrat in the Death Realm, Mordekaiser generally doesn't build too many resistances, mainly just health, so the Leandries will work very well with that. And as a Ziggs, there's nothing better in life than receiving the blue buff.
Definitely not. We're seeing the fruits of their labor come out now. And again, Skuzrat just dueling Endpoint on this bottom side of the map. That's gonna be a miss on the ultimate. Very nice pull by Endpoint to keep himself alive in that scenario. So he's gonna be able to stay alive for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, proc the phase rush as well, so no chance on Skuzrat getting it afterwards. Doesn't put it on cooldown, not quite as annoying as when you dodge out a Vialt or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. New champions get that courtesy, it seems.
Yeah, only the 200 years champions, not the 100 years. So very unfortunate there. But do you see a siege coming out from the 3 members? of the side of Wulfpack Vengeance. However, that's going to be the Rift Herald being dropped in a kind of difficult position here.
And a Morgana binding will stop it, and that's kind of a bit of a wasted Rift Herald. His Dreams tried to, be a little sneaky and put it ever closer to the tower, and, they still may end up getting this tower, but it's not going to be on this wave, so a little bit of laziness potentially coming out from Dreams there. He could have just ran all the way up top, thrown it down, and walked back to continue farming. Instead, they don't get that tower right then and there and lose a bit of tempo for it.
I think he might have been expecting only one member to be up there, not three, and so definitely got caught out by surprise. Also, I think the Rift Herald was dropping down in terms of the timer on it, so, very unfortunate forced play to make. But again, the pressure is still there. The big scary question is Mordekaiser going to join in these sides? Because so far, Scuzzrat 3-0 sitting on that Rylai's as well as the Proto Belt. As we do see, a satchel being thrown. Thorngrim just says, "All right, we're not continuing the siege. I'm sorry."
Yeah, just zigs things here.
From the fog of war, you see just a satchel come out of nowhere. It's like, oh, okay.
Just imagine if Cogmole could hit towers. That would be fun.
Oh, that would be awful. Oh my lord.
But 20 seconds now before this next Drake, and both teams are positioning around it. They want to fight for it. Chingbear's not going to have to 007 his way on into the pit this time around, at least not at the start. But there is the threat of the Mega Inferno Bomb always taking it, because it always just seems to do a billion damage to objectives as you're trying to smite it. But it's Jerry!
Jerry got caught out in the wrong place at the wrong time. He does have flash up, so he's able to stay alive. Big bomb comes out. Thorngrim able to claim that kill. Lands on a force. Scuzzrat still dueling endpoint once again. Might be a solo kill. No. The pool is there. He flashes over the wall. Is able to stay alive. Endpoint. The Madman is able to hold on. He is able to escape with his life, and that's going to be 2-0 in favor of Wulfpack Vengeance. They hold out strong, and now they have the pinch coming around. Scary Jerry trying to move around the side. Superstar about to go down. That's going to be the hold. In comes the bomb. Killer Guy claims that kill. And that's going to be a hold. Scary Jerry takes the ace in the hold. He gets the shutdown. Yoo-Hoo finally claims his first kill of the game, and they're going to surrender that dragon in favor of a mid lane push.
Yeah, and that AP Kog'Maw damage coming in had the blue buff, and every time someone went down, that Presence of Mind topped him back on up on mana. And, you have a blue buff, you get the Presence of Mind. He's never running The Seraphs is done now, almost done with the Cole too. Got a kill on to endpoint there, but at the start, it looked really good for the side of Wulfpack to be able to clean up that fight and get the dragon. Chingbear got deleted from half health with a black shield on by the middle of the Mega Inferno Bomb. That's just with Ludens and Leandries and Sork Shoes. Just imagine how much stronger the Ziggs is going to get too, as everyone is approaching, their level 13 now. So once that level 16 Mega Inferno Bomb comes out, he's going to be dealing a ton of damage.
Yeah, and I think he really has to, right? He is currently sitting with his top laner in an 0-3 scenario. Scuzzrat, yes, he fell in that entire fight, but still, he's 5-1-1. He's the only one with significant power, and that's going to be another fight on this bottom side. Scuzzrat just saying, I want to fight. Endpoint trying to heal up. That's going to be Scuzzrat possibly getting pulled in. Dreams coming in, trying to help out his top laner, but that's going to be Endpoint drawn into the realm of death. He actually has the damage now, though. Scuzzrat definitely a little bit worried. He's going to survive. That's going to be the showstopper claiming the kill. And now Wulfpack Vengeance have officially silenced the split pusher.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Honeyfruit, they're not in a position to pressure Baron just yet. That would have been a good answer if, in the future, too, it could be a good answer if they do end up having to send someone down there to pressure Scuzzrat out with Endpoint. But right now, it just is a bit of an advantage for the side of Wulfpack. They're trying to push up these waves top, but Lucian is no slouch when it comes to counter pushing either, as ult's being pushed, or ult's being used to stop the push, however, and back to a bit of a lull state.
Yep, nice little attempt there coming out from the side of Thorngrim, just throwing the Mega Inferno Bomb, saying, all right, we'll give it a shot. Headshot coming out. Yoo-Hoo and Orbit now being forced back as the Baron looks to be in the eyes of both squads here.
Yeah, it's just the natural progression. Dragons are down. What else is there? Oh, the big purple worm in the middle of the map there. Let's get everyone over there. Get some vision down. See if we can catch anyone out, because they've been able to catch people out. You know, Scary Jerry himself is enough to at least catch out Killer Guy, or probably even Yoo-Hoo, as we saw him do a bunch of damage to Yoo-Hoo there in the top lane, forcing them to get out of there, dodging away from the culling. And, you know, we're just going to have to see what they can do, because Wulfpack has pretty much a monopoly on vision on the top side of the map. Just one ward up behind the tower, which isn't seeing a whole lot.
Yeah, definitely not. And as we hit that 26-minute mark right on the dot here, I do want to take stock of what we have on the game, right? 2.4k lead or 2.0k lead in favor of Wulfpack Vengeance, 2 dragons to 3 towers to 1. And it's just both squads, yes, they're scaling, but it seems to be coming to a very heavy boiling point, right? Neither squad really getting an extensive advantage where it really feels like they need to if they want to be able to execute their team composition to the optimum level.
Yeah, and I am very interested as to what Set is building here, because he has the Fairy Charm with the Crystalline Bracer, so I think he's going Redemption. He's like full-on utility Set, or he might even be going Shirelias, because those build out of the same thing. But I think he's probably going Redemption to go with his Locket. One, for the extra shield power on the Locket when they're, you know, trying to navigate through this Kog'Maw barrage here. But, you know, if he ends up going Shirelias too, he can chase people down better, or go Redemption for the healing. So we'll see what he ends up building, but I don't think I've seen a Set build either of Shirelias or Redemption. But in context, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's like the old Olaf build, right? Where you just build pure supportive for your side. You take the Redemption in for yourself as well. I don't think it has the same properties, but it's definitely a thought, as we do see a battle around this dragon. Culling coming out just to clear out a few rats and bears, really, as you see Ziggs actually getting caught out on the backside. Living on Shirley forces the flash from Thorngrim. So very important summoner being taken away from the Ziggs. And remember, Ziggs is their primary damage output. Thorngrim is 5-1-1. So right now, Dragon being spawned. However, that is going to be a good pull to get Superstar. He has to flash away as well. Teleport coming in. That's going to be Mega Inferno Bomb, only catching 2 on the outskirts as well. And now we see a split. That's going to be Thorngrim saying, all right, we'll just try and force down mid lane. Dragon going down to about 4k. This could be the steal, though. Dreams has done it, or Chingbear has done it once. We'll see if Dreams can return. That's going to be a flash forward endpoint. Gets a Hemoplague only onto 1 or 2. The take is there. Big damage coming out from the side of Wulfpack Vengeance. They are cleaning house 3-1. So far, Scuzz claims 1 for himself, but he's going to burn down. He goes golden, actually healing up quite a bit. That's going to be one last shot coming out. Scary Jerry claims his 6th of the game, and that is going to be a 4-2 with Yoo-Hoo, the only survivor of that brutal fight.
Yeah, and they should be able to turn right onto Baron here. Scary Jerry has Blade of the Rune King, so with that and Set's percent health damage, they should be able to get it no problem, with the Senna wailing away on it too. But man, everything came up great for Wulfpack there. Dreams got the dragon. They wiped the fight immediately after, just losing Endpoint and Thorngrim, who both did actually a bunch of damage before they died, even though that Mega Inferno Bomb only hit on the edge. Still did about half of Caitlyn's health there, and hit Scuzzrat a little bit there as well. As yeah, free Baron. They're on Soul Point now. They're up almost 4k gold now, so things are looking good for Wulfpack all of a sudden.
Yeah, down a little bit. They were losing their objective control for a while, but now they're starting to put the pressure, and I think it really has to do with Thorngrim and Scary Jerry being able to split push pretty much on their own, right? The Ziggs, we were talking about it in the Champion Selected in the break. His wave clear is immaculate, and this guy, he's already got the Rabadons in his back pocket as well, so sitting on 3 items, he can wave clear any lane, he can push down any towers, and he can take any tower pretty much on his own in, I think, 2 spell rotations, honestly, as long as he can get his passive back up. So definitely have to keep track and see how Honeyfruit Gaming are able to manage this, you know, very difficult siege on their own siege composition.
And you were talking about Thorngrim being the PvE split push. He did that even just in mid lane when they were dancing around the dragon. He was pushing midways and took a lot of that tower's health just from the minions alone before coming in to join the fight. And it's those kind of little micro decisions there that can make a pretty big difference in how a game ends up playing out. is if you get the waves in a good spot before going to a fight over an objective or just a team fight in general, then the minions do the work for you. It's like investing in the stock market, making your money work for you.
Scuzz wasn't able to pull anyone into the realm of death. That's going to be the culling holding true, but that's going to be the binding forcing the QSS out of Scary Jerry. Thorngrim versus Killer Guy in that mid lane, but Tower goes down in the bottom side for the side of Wulfpack Vengeance, and this game feels definitely in control of this Wulfpack Vengeance squad. They're coming in from the winner's side and say we are going to retain that winning hold. It's Yoo-Hoo desperately trying to clear the minions here as the mid lane even going down as well. A split push coming out. Thorngrim though might get taken down. He's ducking, he's weaving, he's ducking. He might survive, and the redemption does to seal it all off. Thorngrim able to stay alive, not going to have his third death of the game. He is going to be very happy taking that middle inhibitor tower.
Yeah, but Killer Guy is almost level 16, so almost has the screen and a half range on the living artillery there. It's not quite casted and hitting level 16, but it does add a whole nother layer of complexity into these fights and how both teams are going to be playing around these fights once that level 16 is reached, because, you know, Yoo-Hoo and Killer Guy can zero someone out from across the map. Killer Guy pokes him down, and Ace in the Hole comes out and could kill someone from really, really far away without any chance of follow-up or retribution. So definitely something to keep an eye on is the fact that once this Kog'Maw hits that point, you still have to respect him. Even though he's 1-4, he's just that strong. His superstar almost straight up got zeroed out there by Yoo-Hoo.
Yeah, and just one more headshot away from going down as Thorngrim tries to dance back. And this is the interesting part as we are on a third dragon scenario here for the side of Wulfpack Vengeance. Oh, Scary Jerry getting caught, but that's going to be Vladimir coming around the side endpoint, being able to get a big chunk off, and they get the kill. Orbit is probably next to fall. That's going to be endpoint taking the mid to late game for his team. Double kill for the Vladimir in the bottom lane. Thorngrim now having to run away the Ziggs, desperately trying to keep himself alive. Chingbear does get bounced back into the triple kill endpoint, claiming his 4th of the game. He is doing so well. Dreams flash forward, gets the smite down, drags him in. Showstopper to finish it off. The ace coming through for Wulfpack Vengeance.
Yeah, and this should be them pushing on in, if for nothing else, just some inhibs. But Thorngrim's got teleport, so they're going to go on in towards the base sector. They're splitting, so may not be trying to end game, just get some inhibs, get their soul. But with Ocean Soul, they might just say, you know what, we can just end right here anyway. So it looks like game number 1 will be going the way of Wulfpack here.
Yeah, that's gonna just be the slow burn down as both towers fall simultaneously. That is gonna be the Nexus falling to Wulfpack Vengeance 1-0 in favor of the winner's side favorite team.
Yeah, and it was pretty decisive once we got past that early game. Once we got around to that second and third dragon, things started kicking up a notch. And while the Kog'Maw did do over 20,000 damage, did it actually over 21,000, he didn't really out-damage anyone. The Mordekaiser did just as much. Even the Vladimir did just as much. Did out-damage the Ziggs and Lucian by a bit, but you know, when you look at those numbers, you have to put in context. Most of it was actually just inconsequential poke. There were some moments in some fights where the Kog'Maw was really doing work. That one fight where Endpoint ended up dying at the end while trying to chase people down. Specifically, that fight was a really good one for Killer Guy. But the rest of the game was a bit of a struggle for him, with Scary Jerry popping off on that Lucian pick, solo killing him 2 or 3 times, just catching him in a spot where he couldn't get away from him, using the culling to finish him off once he got away, or just straight up killing him with the press the attack Lucian in the mid lane.
Yep, big scary thoughts again. Well done by Wulfpack Vengeance. They'll have to do that 2 more times if they want to claim this series 3-0. And on the other side, Honeyfruit game, they came from the losers bracket. They know what it's like to be put on their back foot. So we'll have to see if they can bounce back here in game number 2. But we will be going to a very short intermission, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 2 between Honeyfruit Gaming and Wulfpack Vengeance. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 2 after a fantastic game 1 coming out of Wulfpack Vengeance. We are into game number 2. Teams are raring to go as immediately as we get back, they are already into pick and ban phase here. Again, Wulfpack Vengeance are on blue side this time, and Honeyfruit Gaming are on red. Already, we see the Thresh being taken off the board, and Gangplank as well. So far, the same bans across the board.
Yep, and gonna look to ban the Olaf this time around. I'm interested to see if these teams go for similar team comps. Banning the Ashe out on the blue side, so they're forcing Honeyfruit to ban the Caitlyn or give it over. So with Ashe and Caitlyn gone, we'll see if they what ends up being played in the bottom lane. But the set priority probably going to be it as they lock it in. So just going to keep giving Dreams the set because he's honestly just one of the most versatile and useful champions in the game right now.
Yeah, not only that, Dreams had a fantastic series last time, going 2-0-7, being in the right place at the right time. Yes, he got outsmited once by Chingbear, but I mean, we'll brush that under the rug. He showed his face. His
being bad. That was Chingbear being good, and sneaking in, popping out. Surprise, my dragon.
Yeah, that was well played by Chingbear, but it wasn't enough. We'll see if this time around they can pull it off. That's going to be the Lucian lock-in, though, so taking it away from Scary Jerry. The side of Honeyfruit Gaming say we really don't want to play against that champion in game number 2.
Yeah, but that does leave the Volibear up, which Honeyfruit actually banned themselves on the blue side in game 1, so they will pick up the Volibear. And this is a really different looking team comp for the side of Honeyfruit already, regardless of where this Lucian ends up on going. Definitely has some more early game agency here, other than just being Caitlyn Morgana, being outranging and annoying. Lucian is a champion that can actually impose his will over the game at pretty much any stage in the game. But Wulfpack says, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're going to grab Set and Ziggs again.
Yep, Ziggs once again being blind pick here, I feel, as we'll see if Wulfpack want to send it towards Lucian or stay away from Lucian. We are into the bottom section here. One last pick from each side before we get into the second ban phase here. And so far, I mean, the Shen being hovered, I like this. That's going to be a very nice lock-in for the top side, as Endpoint definitely had a rough early game. Do you think this Shen is enough to bring back the early game presence that is needed for him to not go 0-2 in the first stages of the early game?
Into Mordekaiser, with that being locked in again, I think so. Shen is absurdly powerful right now. He was actually really strong before he got buffed randomly again. And then he got buffed. So he is just really strong. The percent health damage on his Q and it doing actually the bonus percent health if he pulls the sword through you. I think it goes up to like 5% on each hit or something crazy like that. Is really strong. So Shen, just a stalwart in the top lane, brings a ton of utility to his team, is able to fight pretty much anything. Should fare a lot better earlier on against the Mordekaiser. Doesn't have the crazy AoE teamfight presence that the Vladimir does, but they didn't really need it that last game anyway.
Yeah, now we're seeing the bans come through. HFG say we don't want to deal with the Senna and Lux. Take both of those away on the flip side. Wulfpack Vengeance say, all right, you want to ban out supports? We'll ban out mid laners. That's going to be Galio and Akali taking off the board. So same 2 mid lane bans as we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, and, someone named the killer guy, and he plays Akali. You don't give the man the Akali. Akali may still not be as crazy as she was when she first got reworked, but people who know how to use that champion are very scary, and you don't want to give it to them, as you even see that against TSM, where Golden Guardians banned Akali against Bjergs in every single game. Just like, we know who you are, we know what you do, we don't want that. We're not signing up for that.
Listen, we've seen your past games. We really don't want you to just rampage all over us. And I mean, hey, what do you know? They get a 3-0, so maybe this is a repeat as well. We'll have to wait and see. The Braum is locked in here, so that is going to be a very safe bottom lane coming out here, coming for Honeyfruit Gaming. We have to see the rebuttal and the response, and they do pick up the Soraka, so another poke-heavy support, but not exactly the firepower that we were expecting.
Yeah, not yet. They can still pick something to go bottom here if they would want that Ziggs to go mid, but then Honeyfruit has ultimate counter, so Unless they pick another flex and just play waffle flip-flop here. Going to reveal what's going where, as it's going to be the Corki. But they could still technically waffle flip-flop and have Corki be bottom. Like, that's still a thing that can happen. Bottom lane hasn't been Corki's exclusive home for a number of years, but he can still venture down there from time to time. So we'll see what Honeyfruit wants to do here with the ultimate counter pick, as Lucian Braum is safe, like you said, but they can also play super aggressive. The Braum passive and Lucian's passives combined allow you to just stun over and over again. And with Kai'Sa being locked in, looks like it's just Lucian mid into the Corki.
Yeah, flexing it right in there, gonna be taking it once again. This time, Scary Jerry has to deal with the Lucian. He knows how strong it is, so now we'll see if he can play against it. But Kai'Sa being locked in, one of the shorter ranged ADCs coming in here against the Ziggs Soraka. Do you think this is a champion that Honeyfruit Gaming need to be able to get an advantage against this Thorngrim Ziggs?
I think it's more about the scaling potential and the pick potential, because Volibear can stun people, the Braum passive can stun people to set up the Kai'Sa. Mordekaiser as well with his E can set things up for the Kai'Sa. Laning phase should be really rough if the Ziggs is played correctly, if the Ziggs is indeed in the bottom lane, because Kai'Sa is at that perfect range where she is about at the same spot as the range minions, and that is Ziggs' bread and butter in the bottom lane. Is throwing the Q at the ranged minions and hitting an enemy as well. So it's going to be up to the Kai'Sa to position correctly, to not just get poked out of lane over and over again, and be in a position to actually have a chance to be useful later on without needing the game to go to 45 minutes.
Yep, big, scary potential coming out of both sides here, and I really do want to keep track of it. But again, I want to take a look at that jungle role now. Again, last time we saw Qingbear go 0-5, completely shut down by Wulfpack Vengeance. This time around, he is on the bear. He is on, kind of his namesake, maybe. We'll go with that because it's a little bit fun. But do you think this is a champion that will allow him to actually have some influence over the map? Being able to get some kills or assists around the side?
It definitely will. It's a lot easier to do things early game with the Volibear than it is with the Graves in terms of setting up skirmishes and fights and actually keeping people locked in, because Volibear has the CC, has the ways to chase people down. Graves has the phase rush and, can chase, but he doesn't have the CC to hold them into place here. But Set is also really good into Volibear in team fights. Volibear ults in, Set ults him back into his team with the extra bonus HP that Volibear gets out of his ultimate, and hits him with a big old suplex that does a ton of AoE damage. So Qingbear is going to have to be on his game and make sure that he puts himself in a good spot to where Dreams can't just flip him right back in onto his team, with a Shen ult as well to deliver the Shen to the back line. The Volibear could actually be a reverse wombo here.
Yep, big interesting points, and we'll have to keep track of how Qingbear is able to influence the game again, hopefully better than his game one performance. Now looking at it overall, again, the side of Wulfpack Vengeance are going for that Ziggs scaling, that Ziggs siege potential. And on the flip side, do you think Honeyfruit Gaming have laid out a good game plan with this composition to be able to rival the fighting potential coming out of Wulfpack Vengeance, or do you think it falls to the wayside a little bit in terms of their win conditions and how they have to play in order to take this game?
It's definitely harder for them with the win condition that they have set out of the Kai'Sa or the Lucian and Mordekaiser getting ahead, because Corki and Shen can both play super safe and just sit back and do their thing. Shen can scale up. If he ends up just sitting back and scaling up, letting waves pile up and has to ult somewhere, Mordekaiser will likely just take a tower and start to do side lane things. But in the end, it comes down to a low range Kai'Sa and a low range Lucian trying to team fight against a Corki and a Ziggs who can both throw out tons of AoE. Soraka has an AoE silence, and you're short range against a Set who has his E to pull you on in and beat you up. And as well as, dodging out on Shen taunts too. So there's a lot of threat. Everyone on the side of Wulfpack is a threat in their own way to these low-range carries. So it's going to be up to the Mordekaiser, Volibear, and Braum to buy them space to operate. And if they don't have the tank stats to do that, this game could go bad really quickly.
All right, we'll definitely have to see. Again, this is their chance to be able to bring the series back to even, bring it back to basically what is a best of 3. And so we'll have to keep track of that. Before we do go into game, I do want to talk about another of our fantastic sponsors, Kono. If you are looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals. From keyboards to keycaps, mice, and more, our friends at Kono have got you covered. Kono works with some of the world's greatest designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. They've been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge and have made generous contributions to our prize pools. So if you're looking to get a new keyboard or any other peripherals, please go ahead and check them out and use the code UpsurgeGG for 7% off your first order. For more information, head over to kono.store to check out all they have to offer. Now, we will be going to a very short commercial break, but before we do, but please don't go anywhere, as we will be right back with game number 2 between Wulfpack Vengeance and Honeyfruit Gaming. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 2 between Wulfpack Vengeance and Honeyfruit Gaming. These guys are battling it out once again, with Wulfpack Vengeance having taken game number 1 in what was a decisive mid to late game. So very excited to see what they can bring out onto the Rift here. This time around, Scary Jerry facing off against the champion that he took last time in that mid lane, as we do see a 5-man push right into the bush here. Spotted out by Scary Jerry, and actually a nice little catch. Superstar might have to flash, does burn the flash, so unfortunate there. Early win for the side of Honeyfruit Gaming.
And that's the power of Braum. Braum is one of, if not the best level 1 champions in the entire game. Smack him with a Q, you have ADCs to fall to stun for an invade. Almost nothing beats that, especially if they opt into the actual level 1 team fight. You can actually stun everyone with Braum. But
Yeah.
that didn't happen. Just the flash forced out. So, Superstar, as a Soraka player, understands that this sort of thing does happen. And, you don't play games as Soraka and are willing to bust out in competitive play without understanding that positioning is a very big part of playing Soraka.
Yeah, definitely very scary. I think the only champion that really outduels or can out pressure in terms of the early game level 1 would be a Scion. Honestly, I think Scion's the only one that would really be able to say, nah, we'll give you a run.
To the Bush 5-man queue at some point.
Yeah, feels bad, man. Feels bad. Just get knocked up. It's almost like, rule number 1 of League of Legends, don't chase the Singed. Rule number 2, don't invade a Scion, as we do see Yoo-Hoo and Orbit. Orbit actually flashing forward. So both supports starting out without any flashes.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like Chingbear was in a position to come on down to try to follow up on it. Maybe they thought about it, and decided against it right as Orbit actually flashed in. Because that's what it looked like they were trying to do, was set up the level 2. Instead, Dreams is just going to go up top, and Chingbear is going to go to his blue. They had a good ward in the tri-bush to spot out Chingbear as he was leaving. So information has been gathered. They know, hey, he took our red. Kind of expected that.
Yeah, actually, Dreams is able to claim 2 buffs for himself, so he's gonna do a quick visit towards this top lane. Scuzzrat has to flash away. The stun is there to drag back in, but that's 2 tower shots, 3 actually, as Dreams drops to about 200 health, even through the shield. So Scuzzrat burns a flash, and Dreams burns his health bar.
Again, the exhaust coming out mid already. Heavy trade coming in from Killer Guy on this character, saying, "You're not the only one who can play Lucian mid. Let me show you how I do it here." And yeah, not a whole lot of mid lane champions can actually out trade Lucian in the early game.
Yeah, so going the exhaust versus the ignite. So Scary Jury, sometimes in that matchup you also see the teleport, which actually is what I think Killer Guy actually took against the Lucian as well. But we do see a fight in that top side once again. This time though, Endpoint definitely coming out with much better health, but that's gonna be a satchel charge popping Yoo-Hoo directly in favor. That forces a flash out of Thorngrim. Another visit towards this top side, potentially no mid lane, as Dreams does jump, but that's gonna be a flash forward. Easy kill. Killer Guy claiming that one, and he skedaddles up to the top side as Dreams does show up. So a quick first blood as Killer Guy gets some revenge.
Yeah, and Orbit is just being the most Chad Braum I think I have ever seen, outside of maybe the support on my own team. He does that same stuff where he just jumps in and doesn't care. Just makes you think, what is this guy doing? What's he doing? Is someone here? What's going on? Most Brahms that you end up seeing tend to just chill back and play passive and try to be protector, but Orbit's being super Chad with his Braum play so far.
I just love that. Just he's a Chad. That's all it is. He's just being that.
Chad dip, man.
Oh man, we do see the wave pressuring back into Yoo-Hoo and Orbit, so they're going to be able to claim a little bit more CS for themselves. But Thorngrim and Superstar are going to try and make that as difficult as possible. Especially since Yoo-Hoo actually went for the Cole first, so not having that dueling potential available. So definitely gonna be in favor of Thorngrim and Superstar to pressure those waves under tower and make sure Yoo-Hoo isn't able to claim that free CS.
And you can see a lot of it also is just the difference in range between Caitlyn and Kai'Sa. Obviously, a massive difference in terms of attack range there leads to Ziggs having a much easier time of poking you without being able to get poked back. Kai'Sas do take the Halo Blades for a bit of that dueling potential early on, as well as later on being able to proc things and proc their passives, but against the Ziggs, it's a whole different thing. I remember when the ADC items first got changed and all the ADCs were like, "You're killing our role!" And it was a big learning experience for the ADC players to lane against stuff like the Ziggs.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's annoying. It really truthfully is. You walk up to take a CS and you get autoed with his passive, which is like a little mini Lich Bane. You're like, ow, that hurts. But Superstar getting out here has to flash again almost off cooldown.
Yeah, they're trying their best to keep this Soraka down. I mean, when you have such an immobile team, bottom lane like this, Superstar and Thorngrim. Top lane, though, Endpoint, you were talking about it. How does Endpoint deal with this Mordekaiser? This is a way to do it. Have the Shen in the top side, major trading value going over in terms of endpoint. He's able to also transition that into a CS lead. However small it is, that's still a lead for himself. It's going to be very nice as Chingbear visits the bot lane as well to just get a little bit of help. That's going to be a dance, though, in the top lane as Endpoint gets dragged into the realm of death. Dances directly into the queue. This is going to be a win. Skuzrak claims another solo kill. Disaster once again on the top side of the map for Wulfpack Vengeance.
Yeah, and Shen did not, by any stretch of the imagination, have to try to dash in and trade with him there. He had a wave pushing into him, already had a CS lead, so he could have just taken that small victory, taken that wave that was pushing into him, and been up probably 8 or 9, maybe even 10 CS, depending on how many he was able to get. So instead, he ends up getting solo killed because it's so hard to like commit to fighting a Mordekaiser when he hasn't used his shield and his, especially when his death throne's available, but even if it's not, just with the shield, because it stacks up with not only the damage he takes, but also the damage he does. So that gets stacking on up there, and he gets to pop it at his own will, and he gets to pop it again to heal for a certain percentage that based on its rank. So not only is it a big old nasty shield that you have to cut through, it heals him if you don't break it. And then in the Death Realm, he steals your stats, and you used your taunt already, and it was just bad news for Endpoint there. But he still has a big old CS lead, but in terms of gold, it's even, and Superstar is just getting bullied.
Oh, that feels bad. Superstar falls even through the stand united. Endpoint not able to save his support. So overall 3-0 in favor of this Honeyfruit Gaming squad just 8 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and this is exactly how you draw it up if you are a Honeyfruit. Even though, you know, it is just 1 kill a piece for your carries in the soul lanes and your AD carry, that's how you draw it up. You know, you just want them to get their gold to be able to function, especially because we had concerns about their range into the Ziggs and the Corki, and with the threats of the silence from Soraka, the Set, and the Shen. You know, them having an item lead kind of makes up for that range difference a little bit.
Just a little bit. We see another taunt going on the top side as Endpoint now at the disadvantage. He went the Tiamat route, which is a much more aggressive trading factor. Usually in a defensive posture, you would see the Shen go for that Bomby Cinder, you know, and just try and farm under towers. So going the Tiamat in this situation definitely signals a bit of overconfidence coming out of Endpoint.
Yeah, and, you know, he had already had the long swords and the rejuvenation bead before he died to Skuzrat there, so was definitely feeling a little better about it before he ended up dying. And once you already have the items, it's, you know, more efficient to just complete it and deal with it. But there is the exhaust coming out, and Scary Jerry's just gonna skedaddle on out of the culling.
Yep, gonna be getting out, and he dashes once again. He has flash and ignite, so he's not too worried, but Dreams might just face check. He does face check directly into the bear. Chingbear says hello. That's gonna be a hold. That's gonna be the wish going down, keeping him alive just for a little bit longer, but he might be run down. Ignite is on. That is the kill. Killer Guy claims a second of the game. Such a free win for them. That face check is costing Wulfpack Vengeance quite a bit here in this game number 2.
Yeah, and, you know, it's kind of funny that Dreams is the one who went down there, because at the end of the game, I don't know if broadcast was able to see that, but Dreams did say at the end of game 1, 3-0 incoming, so definitely a bit cocky there. So for him to go down like that, you know, as the one who was, you know, doing a little bit of trash talk, I'm sure that feels fantastic for Honeyfruit to be able to catch him out like that. And that's all the sort of stuff that comes with competition, you know, not saying that's BM or anything, just the friendly banter. But it's always good when someone says something like that and you smack them down the next chance you get.
It's always a feels good moment. However, we will have to keep track because, again, this game is definitely pushing for a soft reset of the series. Skuzrat once again dueling on the top point. Endpoint has no way out. The timer barely runs out. That's going to be the flash, but it doesn't matter. One more Q takes it. Skuzrat gets his second of the game. Even with all the help from Dreams, Endpoint falls into a nightmare as he's down again for the count. 15 seconds on the dead timer. Mid lane, though, Killer Guy does get smited. Might get drawn in, but no, the flash was enough. And no matter what, Dreams now falling into Chingbear's problems. 0-1 right now, not able to have a presence.
Yeah, no presence just yet, but still putting out some pressure, forcing the flash out of Lucian, making things happen. Hex Flash in and Nimbus Cloak into Blue Smite is a lot of Nimbus Cloak abuse there, and that's why the set was able to chase him down for so long, combined with the movement speed on his Q. Like, you were kind of scared for Killer Guy there. Even after he flashed it, he was still going to get pulled on in and smacked on up. But Yoo-Hoo's going to have to try and commit to this. They could Braum ult. I was kind of expecting the Braum ult to come out there, but they opt against it.
Yeah, not going to go aggressive here. They understand that they want to get a good back off already. We do see some items coming through for the Kai'Sa. We do see the Manamune coming out. Going to be stacking that one up. On the flip side, we do see the Manamune for the Corki as well. So, items coming through for primary carries as the Infernal Drake, second dragon of the game coming up. Going to be attempted to be taken by Wulfpack Vengeance.
And they should be able to get it with Corki having the package. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for you to try to contest it. But Scary Jerry is going down bottom, looking for it onto Yoo-Hoo, who will find it out with a Prey Seeker. So, using the package just as a zoning tool, perfectly fine. He still has it. He can get back to lane real quick. Scary Killer Guy did not push it all the way back in. But, Air Soul, kind of an uninspiring soul, but the Drakes themselves are fun to have, especially for long cooldown ultimates like the Mordekaiser Death Realm and the Stand United. Both of those are pretty good to have. Is Scary Jerry going a big aggressive?
Yeah, that's actually a teleport to the mid lane, as Thorngrim says we might have had the kill, but that signals the Rift Herald being dropped on the bottom side, so massive misstep coming out from the side of Wulfpack Vengeance. They go over aggressive in the mid lane. That means 3.5 plates going over to the side of Honeyfruit Gaming. They are getting so much from these missteps. We do see a collapse coming out here as Killer Guy actually meets his counterpart. That's going to be a fight going off in the bush as Dreams actually catches 3 with that Haymaker. That's going to be the kill, though, as the Stormbringer comes down. Endpoint actually TP'd in. In goes the Realm of Death as Superstar is dragged in under the tower. Endpoint barely stays alive. Killer Guy is able to claim that one. Superstar staying alive under the tower, but no, there it is. Double kill for the Lucian in the bottom side. Massive flank 5-on-5 fight, or 5-on-4 fight in the bottom side. Signals 3 kills, securing a fantastic lead for Honeyfruit Gaming.
Yeah, and poor Soraka, even though Superstar did almost the most perfect flash he could to avoid the Mordekaiser damage and get out of the Death Realm, there was a Lucian there waiting for her. It feels real bad, man. They committed every single thing to that fight. Did not really get a whole lot out of it. Did not get anything out of it, actually. And, yeah. They do still scale. It's still Ziggs and Corki and Soraka. But this is a big hole to climb out of.
Oh, it's a massive one for sure. Almost on track to be a perfect game here. With no towers really being touched on the side of Honeyfruit Gaming. I mean, we were talking about it, right? These guys are no stranger to being put on the back foot. These guys have already faced off in a 2-2 scenario and come out as the victors. So their resilience definitely showing strong in this game number 2. And I feel a lot of that confidence comes from this top side that we're seeing right now. Scuzz soloing out his counterpart multiple times on this Mordekaiser.
Yeah, and Scuzzrat seems to have a really good time into enemies playing tanks. When Gothboy Click did their weird swap and their jungler ended up on top, he was playing stuff like Fiora and Jax and just like being a general nuisance and split pushing. He had a rougher time against that than he did these tanks. Against these tank picks and these bruisers, he seems to be really dominant against them. So playing right into his hands so far. And, Shen is not Vladimir, so you don't have to worry about him showing up and ruining an entire team fight and making everyone do a million more damage to everything. So holding this Shen to the 0-3 is a lot more impactful than it was holding the Vladimir to the 0-3 last game.
Absolutely. And now just heavy dismantling. Mid lane now not going in favor of Scary Jerry. Orbit taking up a lot of that damage, as Braum should. Walks out, only lost about a quarter of his health. See a jumping coming out from the Killer Guy as the Colin comes out as well. Scary Jerry has no flash. Actually, use it there. Sorry. Thought he didn't have flash. I was very much mistaken. So there's going to be flash coming out.
Even with the flash, he was like, 50 pixels away from the Colin still hitting him, and he would have died.
Oh man, oh no, someone's gonna call me out for that in chat. As Scary Jerry lives with about 10%, about 5% HP there, but that does mean the mid lane is ripe for the taking. But Scary Killer actually says no, I don't want to chance it, as they can't find Dreams. Dreams shows on the bottom side as this tower, first tower going over to the side of Honeyfruit Gaming as they extend their lead to a 5.4k difference.
Yeah, but a good call from Wulfpack to not sit there and try to defend it. Obviously, they know Volibear has Umwrecker built into his ultimate. Would not have been a fun time. The only chance they had was for a fantastic wombo of Volibear ults in, Set ults them back into the team, hits a good face breaker into the Mega Inferno Bomb. That was about the only way that any of that went well for them. So they say, you know, we're just not even going to try. We'll just give it to them. We'll live to fight another day.
Yes. Well, I mean, their scoreline really doesn't say that they're living for another day, but you know, we'll see what happens. Again, game number 1 went their direction. This time, it seems to be Honeyfruit Gaming. So they, you know, again, in a game 5 series though, or in a 5-game series, they're able to afford having these offset games, right? They're allowed to have these games where they lose a little bit and then maybe lose a lot and be able to reset. So we'll have to see how they come back, because again, or you know, even reset this game, as it definitely seems to be Honeyfruit's game to lose.
Yeah, and you see just how much damage this Kaisa did. That was an auto and an isolated Q, did almost half of Scary Jerry's health. So this Kaisa is, you know, pretty strong. Mega Inferno Bomb just going to leash Dragon a little bit here. We'll see if a big one can take it, but not quite.
Close enough, close enough. Well, you know, you hear in the background, good job, good try, Scary. Oh man, again, good so far from Honeyfruit Gaming. Yes, their perfect game is not in range anymore as the Infernal Drake was taken, but still 2 dragons to 1. They're steadily climbing in this game. And I mean, again, Killer Guy, it seems so far both times a lot of the game has revolved around this Lucian pick, which definitely is surprising considering the meta and scope of mid lane champions right now.
Yeah, the thing that is in common with a lot of the mid lane champions, though, is they are the kind that like to either be control mages or the kind that like to clear waves and roam to the side lanes to make things happen. Lucian just so happens to be one of those champions and can play pretty much any way that you really want to. He can sit back, he can just chill and farm and exist, or he can be aggressive, but Chingbear getting a little too aggressive has to ult out.
Yeah, and Orbit actually burns the Glacial Fissure as well, so pulling 2 ultimates to save a life, I think they'll take that. But again, a little bit of overconfidence there. Chingbear has to be careful if he doesn't have priority damage dealers on his side.
Yeah, definitely does. You know, Volibear does do a pretty good amount of damage, but cannot just sit there and face tank an entire team and do any damage. He can sit there and tank it, but he will die eventually. Just will not be able to kill anyone. We do have the Zeke's Harbinger actually coming out, first item for Orbit attached to Yoo-Hoo. So, you know, looking for that actual team fighting power, powering up that Kaisa even more. And it looks like Chingbear will be going for Righteous Glory, I would have to imagine, with that Glacial Shroud. So looking for that even more catch potential, being able to get that burst of movement speed to chase people down.
Yep, gonna be a very scary bear moving into this mid game, you know, closing it on the 20th minute here. And honestly, at this point in the game, I wouldn't discount a 20 to 21 minute Baron being taken away. You have the Lucian who's sitting at 4-0, already 2.5 items. You have the Kaisa stacking up that man immune, already has the Gwynsu's as well. So this Baron could easily be taken with the champions that you have on the board right now. I want to get your opinion. Do you think we'll see a very early Baron fight?
They definitely attempt that if they see someone back, because Kaisa, you know, you don't need Bork on Lucian to do it when you have a Kaisa who does 1% health, especially if Endpoint just gets zeroed on out here. That should actually be Baron.
That feels so bad. Endpoint has been, honestly, a weak link on the side of Wulfpack Vengeance so far. He went for that, I believe, the adaptive helm. And again, face off against an AD champion, can't really do too much. Baron being shredded right now. The only one potentially trying for this is going to be Thorngrim, as he throws a few, you know, tentative bombs and can't do anything.
Yeah, and he could have at least thrown out the ult, just the Hail Mary. It would, you know, it couldn't have hurt anything.
Couldn't have heard anything, but, again, it would have been wasted efforts. Instead, he says, okay, I'll use it to clear and potentially hold the towers. But again, 0 kills so far. This gold disparity cannot be discounted. Taking a look down the rows, we do see in the top side a 3k difference, actually 2k difference, I'm very sorry. Jungle, we see a 1.2. In the mid lane, 2k. In the bottom lane, combined, I think about 3k difference. So far, every single member on the side of Honeyfruit Gaming basically said, all right, we're getting revenge from game number 1 here in game number 2.
Yeah, they definitely are. And, Honeyfruit just looks like a totally different team when they actually have some agency to make plays. Because when you play with the Kog'Maw mid, you don't have that mid jungle 2v2 ability that you do with Ching Bear and Killer Guy being on Volibear and Lucian respectively. Like, these two can sit there and make plays, and probably with how strong they could probably try to 2v5. They may not fully succeed, but they would have a pretty good chance of actually getting it done.
I don't know if there was a better way to describe that, honestly.
like they may end up losing, but it would be a hell of a fight, especially if Killer Guy, once he completes the Infinity Edge.
Yeah,
so everyone else joining in is just a bonus, If those two can get it done, anyone else joining in just makes it better. And with Baron, it just gets so hard, especially since they have such a high magic damage comp with the Corki and Ziggs, as well as, Shen's percent health damage is magic damage as well. It's so hard for them to be able to push these waves out. You see the entire team, Ziggs, committing a whole rotation of spells just to get the minions down to almost dead.
That's the power of the Baron, as we do see top lane, 2 members being sent to the top side, and Scary Jerry going with that all-important big package. Gonna try and get a catch here. So it is gonna be tower falling in the mid lane as Dragon is taken as well. So 3rd Dragon to the side of Honeyfruit Gaming, pushing a lot of pressure onto Wulfpack Vengeance to try and make a play somewhere.
Yeah, and they had the package, they had Mordekaiser, but, he has his ultimate, so anything that happens will turn into a 1v1. There's no QSSs, probably at all, because they're so far behind they can't even spare that gold to purchase the QSS. So whoever Mordekaiser grabs in the Death Realm is going to be 1v1, and Yoo-Hoo just dives on in. We didn't even have time to say much anything else. Just hit the Prey Seeker, went on in, smacked up the Ziggs, blew him up.
That was a killer instinct of killer instincts if you have to take a look at it. I mean, 1 second he's there, 1 second he's gone, pulling off a Rengar impression as the top tower does fall to Killer Guy. I mean, really, if you are Wulfpack Vengeance, what in the world can you do? Your priority carry in the bottom lane is dead. Your mid laner can't really hold. I mean, where do you go from here?
You go to game 3 more than likely. It's just gonna take so much effort and so many lost fights and throws in a row. Like, maybe if Kaisa keeps landing Void Seekers and R-ing into 5 people is a thing, but I don't think Yoo-Hoo. I think Yoo-Hoo has more restraint than that. As the Mega Inferno Bomb comes out, doesn't kill the minions even without the Baron, and the tower still goes down. And, they're 1 Drake away from Soul Point, so they're going to have to either try and fight that or just give over Soul. And if they try to fight over that Drake, they're probably just going to lose unless they can land just the best Wombo combo you've ever seen, whereas people are actually stuck on the package, and Omega Inferno Bomb hits and Set throws Volibear into everyone. That's basically what they're hoping for, is an absolute miracle at this point.
Yeah, kind of the last-ditch effort. All your eggs rest in the enemy's basket to make a mistake, and so far, definitely doesn't look like it. The single objective that they've given up was the Infernal Drake. And I mean, at this point, that 4% extra 80 AP, not doing much for the pockets of Wulfpack Vengeance. As the Baron coming up in a minute, looks like we're going to see some ward coverage coming out here, so I mean, could be a pressure into that, inhibitor towers, or it could just be, hey, let's play it safe, let's be a little bit respectful, and try and get that Baron first to secure that all-important ending push.
Yeah, and your second Baron is generally gonna be the one where you end up ending the game if you're able to get it, especially this early into the game. It just seems like there is nothing that they can do short of that amazing wombo to try and get themselves back in the game. Like, even if they get a kill here and there, like the shutdowns will be nice, especially if they can find one on the killer guy. That'll be 950 gold in the pocket of someone, or now 700. So a full grand of gold will show up in the inventory of anyone who can manage to kill killer guy. But at this point, even them getting a kill would be an achievement.
Mm-hmm. That is, it's so painful to say that, right? Especially since we saw game number 1, and I think you hit it right on the head, right? This is a drastically different squad when Honeyfruit Gaming have that pressure to make the plays. Like right now, that's going to be an easy pickoff as the guns come out blazing. Down goes Dream.
I love watching Orbit play Braum. He just does not care. He's going in. That's the only direction he knows is in.
Yep, just an easy fight there as they do say, all right, we'll take the compensation. We're going to try and get this kill on the Scuzz. Yeah, but Scuzz actually draws Endpoint into the realm of death. However, the tower is there, so I think Scuzz is going to fall here in favor of the Baron as well. Yes, that is going to be the shutdown going in favor of, I believe that was actually Endpoint. So finally getting a kill, the singular kill for his team. We said it was an accomplishment. I think they'll take it.
Yeah, they definitely will. It would have been nicer for the gold to get onto Scary Jerry as the Corki, their late game source of DPS there, or at least auto attack based DPS there. But, beggars can't be choosers at this point in the game, but I don't see them trying to contest over the soul, maybe throw the Ziggs bomb out, but it's on cooldown actually. So we're down to Corki Rockets again. See if the big one can take the soul point away.
Yeah, I don't have high hopes. That is my most. That is the best that my analytical.
Does this dragon in like 5 seconds flat.
Yeah, this looks like it's gonna be point. That is gonna be the 4th dragon for the side of Honeyfruit Gaming, the 5th of this game specifically. They claim the Cloud Soul. They have boosted move speed. They have 30% extra cooldown reduction. I mean, these guys will just be looking for a scrap wherever they go.
Lucian's culling is on a 37-second cooldown, so that is, has the 75% crit, is building towards the Death Stance, I would imagine, unless that ends up turning into a Maw. But either way, this Lucian is ridiculously strong, and with the culling on such a low cooldown, should be able to honestly just use it for wave clear. The Scary Jerry gets scared, has to package his way on out of there.
Oh man, Scary Jerry turns into Scared Jerry as the bot lane is being pressured here. Yoo-hoo, 4 members on the bottom side, as again, Scuzz just pushing on the top side. This split 1-4 is exactly what the doctor ordered. This is clean, plain, and concise League of Legends coming out of Honeyfruit Gaming. Big question, obviously, will they be able to replicate this in game number 3? But so far, breaking the base is going to be their next step into the victory. 4 members, though, on the bottom side to contest, as well as we actually see, interestingly enough, Killer Guy dancing in the backside, not showing. That kind of surprised me because it felt like they lost a lot of pressure when they were trying to push there.
Yeah, because with the Baron minions, it does take the side of Wulfpack some time to actually clear the wave. Ziggs doesn't one-shot the wave. He is good at displacing it with the satchels, but you'd imagine that if he came on in with the culling, which essentially has no cooldown, just to force them to back on up, they could get in and get some hits down on the tower.
Yeah, just wasting about 30 seconds there, I feel, with Killer Guy staying in the backside. I kind of understand that they don't want to put him in a disadvantageous situation, right? Doesn't want him to get caught out, but definitely feels they wasted the back end of that Baron right there. They didn't even get an inhibitor tower, so I mean, all things considered, I think that's a win for the side of Wulfpack Vengeance.
Yeah, it definitely is. So 1 step out of the giant hole, but they're still down near the bottom of the hole. It's going to take more than just that. They're still down 11k, but definitely draws some questions for Honeyfruit about them being able to end a game, or at least, use the Baron effectively. Even though it is against the Ziggs and Corki, who do have wave clear to spare, the Baron buff is especially the second Baron, it's kind of designed to allow you to try and get on in and end a game. So definitely something to keep an eye on is how they go about trying to end this game here. But once the Elder Drake comes up, I think that is when we're going to see Killer Guy just like cull the entire team all at once and get 5 Elder executions one after another.
Oh man, a pentakill on just a culling would be like, you really have to be behind to have that happen. Just on the culling alone. And I mean, at this point, I do have to point out that, yes, there is a 12k lead, which is ridiculous all on its own, right? But looking at the itemizations, it's not as large of a disparity as it was about 10 minutes ago. We're seeing 3 items come out for multiple members on the side of Wulfpack Vengeance. That's going to be the Leandries plus Hextech GLP and Void Staff. For Thorngrim, and in the mid lane, we do see the Trinity Force and all. So these guys are starting to get a little bit of power. Yes, they're at the bottom of the well. They're at the very bottom. They took the first step. Now they're looking to take 2 more as the bottom lane is being pressured. That's going to be the taunt missing. Endpoint actually shortchanges it. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, and interestingly, I didn't even notice this, but Superstar built the Shirelias first on the Soraka, so they were looking for it. They popped the Shirelias. They were really looking for that. Weren't able to find it here, but this siege is just going to be relentless because there's still a lot of time before any objective comes up. So, Honeyfruit's got nothing better to do than to try to siege on in and try to take an inhibitor.
Yeah, and the scary part here, Scuzzrat is level 18. They could easily do a 2-man Baron while still sieging. I think that's probably the scariest part of facing off against this Honeyfruit Gaming squad. They have the power to actually pressure the entire map all at once.
Yeah, and now Killer Guy has the Death Stance as well, so it just adds another layer of him being able to do pretty much whatever it is he wants to do. But Scuzzrat is just sitting here lying in wait as the Baron is about to spawn. And, if they go to answer the Baron, I think Scuzzrat takes their base.
Yeah, it's either one or the other. It's a giant gamble that the squads have to pull off. Endpoint sitting on only 2.5 items, gonna have to be working his way up. I mean, this Shen, you would hope he's tanky. He's nowhere close. As we see all 5 members actually pressuring around this Baron, but they've actually shown all members in Scary Terror, they're going for it. What? They're actually forcing this Baron.
Yeah, I think they just end the game. Like, Lucian and Mordekaiser are strong enough to where they can actually just end the game. They're forcing out a teleport, but I think that they just kill whoever shows up. It is Ziggs, but
yeah, this is gonna be a fight breaking out here as Stand United actually drops. It's gonna be the teleport coming on in. This is a fight after 15 minutes of waiting or so. Chingbear claims that kill. Mega Inferno Bomb only claims no one hits one member. Big one misses, and Scary Jerry is run down by the killer instinct of Yoo-Hoo. And that's just gonna be the team wipe. 4-0 in favor of Honeyfruit Gaming, as the Desperation Baron was just that desperation. Base in shambles. Thorngrim only one alive. Dash in from Killer Guy trying to secure that ace. Doesn't matter as inhibitors are falling. Tower is falling as well. And this looks like game number 2 going in favor of Honeyfruit Gaming.
Yeah, so we got a bit of a series on our hands now, and Honeyfruit with agency in the early game looks like a whole different beast. So I'm excited to see what Wulfpack is going to do. Because, they showed the Ziggs early again and didn't pay dividends this time around.
Yeah, definitely heavily punished. I mean, taking a look at that damage graph this time around, Yoo-Hoo, miles away from anyone else in this game, 19 to the next highest, which is 14.5. That is, I think, an insane damage graph to see here.
It very much is. You look at Corky and you look at Ziggs and you expect them to just land that bunch of meaningless poke that I talked about in game number 1 with the AP Kog'Maw, but they didn't even really do that. The Lucian almost out-damaged both of them. The Mordekaiser almost out-damaged both of them. So, it was just a rough game overall. It started out early with the bottom lane getting all their flashes blown and things going just bad at every turn for them. And, Honeyfruit looked a lot better. So I'm excited to see what Game 3 holds because we got ourselves a series.
Yeah, and the series will have to continue here after a very quick intermission. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 3 between Wulfpack Vengeance and Honeyfruit Gaming. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to give an update. We are experiencing some technical difficulties right now, so please be patient with us. We'll be back into game number 3 here shortly. Thank you so much for understanding. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for sitting with us through this technical delay. We are back with game number 3 here. As again, the series has been reset essentially. It is now a best of 3, both teams at 1-1 as we are into Champion Select. Gangplank and Thresh, again, same bands so far in these first 2 bands as we have seen in games number 1 and 2.
Yep, and don't give the Gangplank player the Gangplank, and Thresh tends to be really annoying to play against, not even just with hooks and flays, but just the Lantern in general. But finally, we have Mordekaiser being taken away from Skuzrat, so we'll see what else he's got to bring to the table here for us.
Yeah, I mean, when you have your top laner go 0-2 twice in a row, you have to realize that you got to put a few bans to that top side. So Wulfpack Vengeance say, all right, enough is enough. We're done with this scenario. We'll take it off the board. Olaf banned away as well, so not giving Dreams this optimal pick. And they ban away the set, so now we're starting to see multiple changes into the draft come out. So definitely going to see a very different game. But one thing that's not going to change is that Lucian mid. So we're still going to see Lucian on the team.
The more they stay the same, still the big time priority on this Lucian pick. And why not? It's been popping off both sides. Both players have been doing fantastic on it. So we'll see what they try to answer it with. Because Corki wasn't the answer. It got picked into the blind pick Kog'Maw. Had a fun time with it. But the Gragas will be picked. However, it is not Chingbear that will get the Gragas. It is Dreams.
Yeah, and again, just like we normally see, Caitlyn on one side, Ashe on the other. You leave both up or you take both away. There's only really 2 options there. So potentially double ADC coming out here for Honeyfruit Gaming. They ran this before. They did very well, so we'll have to see what they pair it with, though. Again, Morgana is a potential pickup, but we could see another engaged support coming out for Honeyfruit Gaming.
Yeah, and I mean, Orbit looked really good on the Braum. Like I said, the Chad Braum. So we'll see if they want to do that. But the threat of Morgana makes Braum less optimal to just kind of go ahead and blind pick right here.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a lot of things you can play with the Ashe and into the Caitlyn. If you're expecting Morgana, you can pick up the Karma here. But Elise is going to be the answer in the jungle. And this pick is very interesting because she's just AP Lee Sin. She's got to get things done early, but even more so than Lee because she doesn't have the utility of the kick later on. So Lisa's got to get things going early and often, and that leaves up the Gragas Yasuo combination for Wulfpack Vengeance, and this is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it's kind of expected when you see the Gragas combo coming out. You see the Gragas picked, you know what's coming next. So very scary opportunity here. We've seen how impactful both mid laners have been so far in the series. Scary Jerry coming out on top in game number 1 and Killer Guy coming out in game number 2 being the winner. So putting more agency into that mid lane is very impressive. However, Braum banned away by Wulfpack Vengeance, and yet Honeyfruit Gaming say, okay, we don't want to give the Morgana over because that would be a dramatic problem in the bottom lane, so they are forced to ban it away and cannot pick it for themselves.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if they do ban the Karma as well, because that is the next thing that most people like to pair with the Caitlyn for a very abusive lane is that Karma. Or Lux. There's Lux too. So it does leave the Karma up if they want it, but instead locking in Maokai potentially for top lane, but support Maokai is a thing. So we'll see if that Maokai ends up being a flex, because it seems awfully interesting to leave your ultimate last pick down to a support pick. And you can bait out stuff like this Renekton here and play something into the Renekton that can kind of beat it a little bit or outscale it. So we'll see where Honeyfruit fully goes with their team composition here, because they're waiting on their support pick as well, unless it's the least support, which I don't think I've seen since like season 3.
Yeah. However, again, with how much priority has also been put on the bottom lane in these two sides going back and forth, right? I mean, it does kind of make sense as well. You want to make sure you have a good matchup in the bottom side, and I mean, this is the way to do it. Thresh banned away, Braum banned away, Morgana and Lux. So you default down to a way to cut down. Nope. Okay, the Blitzcrank was just a bait. Every single one of us, they go with the Karma, they take it away from the Caitlyn.
Picking Blitzcrank into Yasuo is pretty ballsy, because you get that moment late in the game where the Blitz Crank Hook would win you the game, and then there's just a Yasuo win wall, and you're just like, oh, never mind, my champion is invalidated. Haha.
Oh, and now we actually get to see the fish coming out. Nami being hovered here. And
Oh!
no, okay, so last minute swap to the Yumi makes a lot more sense than Nami, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Nami does set up the Yasuo as well, so you're not just relying on the Gragas to do it. You can throw the wave out and catch people in it, and Yasuo can follow up on that. But the Yumi here just kind of either attaches itself to the Yasuo or the Maokai. The Yumi's just sitting there healing you up, keeping you unkillable. And you combine the Gragas Yasuo with a Yumi on top of it, and that just makes for a very devastating combination, especially if the Caitlyn can get ahead and be somewhat self-sufficient to where she doesn't need the Yumi to be on her at all times, or even just abandon the Caitlyn and be like, you know what, we're just going to stick on Yasuo here, let him hard carry us through this. So should be very interesting to see where things go here.
Yeah, I can't wait to see, because again, this is a drastically different composition. With the banning of the Set and Mordekaiser and Volibear, both teams I kind of had to default to a completely different strategy, and I love this kind of storyline, right? We saw a story start game number 1. Game number 2, we saw the kind of flip or turn around in those pages. Now we're getting to that midpoint, right? This is the scary part where both teams have to realize everything's kind of on the line. Whoever wins this one will be up 2-1 in the series, and then that last game will potentially be it. So, I mean, this is the compositions that both teams have staked the momentum on.
Yeah, the only thing that scares me about the Honeyfruit is just the Honeyfruit team comp, rather, is just how early game focused it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they do not win this game by 30 minutes, I don't think they really have a way to win. You have Renekton, who falls off hard early on. Spear Shojin hasn't existed for a while. Bork kind of lets him do a little bit of burst, but it's nothing, still doesn't let him scale. Lucian isn't the best scaling. Ashe scales okay, but she's not like super Omega hyper carry or anything like that. And Elise is Elise, and Karma is the support, and she scales fine, but she's not going to do damage. So it definitely puts a bit of a timer on the game for the side of Honeyfruit here.
Yeah.
And
however, go ahead. Sorry.
It's just, if they get ahead, they have the tools to really end the game early, but they got to get to that point. And we did see them do it in this second game. So I'm holding out hope for them that they can get it done. But Wulfpack's team comp is just a lot more well-rounded.
Yeah, definitely agree, but we do have to take into account, yes, they won game number 2 in extremely commanding fashion. They had some trouble ending the game, and it really came down to actually forcing Wulfpack Vengeance to overstep and make a crucial error, right? So coming into this game, I mean, because of that fact, yes, they had to be an early game team, but do you think they have the potential, considering game number 2, they were able to take such a commanding early game lead? Like, do you think it's more than, say, after, game number 1?
Yeah, definitely better than after game number 1, but after seeing them kind of struggle to end game 2, it seems really interesting to me that they would go this sort of direction, where they're just like, you know what, we're just going to draft early game, beat them down, never let them stand up, because they had a hard time ending just into the Ziggs and the Corki wave clear. Now, imagine doing all that, but with a Maokai, Gragas, Yasuo, Yumi trying to lock you down and beat you up. And, they had a hard time staying away from the little bits of wombo that Wulfpack had in game 2. And this wombo is way more deadly. So, definitely, I have my reservations about being hopeful for Honeyfruit. But, they can get it done. We did see them get the lead. It's just a matter of them getting that lead and actually ending the game in a timely manner.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to wait and see. So now, looking down these compositions, I do want to get your opinion looking at the junglers, because I feel this game has been more about the junglers than anything else, right? Getting those early advantages, and now both of them on those early game champions. Qingbear having that Elise, that champion that can easily roam, get those picks. Gragas coming out for Dreams, much more focused on that mid lane. I want to get your opinion. I mean, do you think Qingbear has what it takes in this game number 2 to have the same performance that he had in game number 3, have the same performance that he had in game number 2, and influence all the lanes?
He definitely can. And Elise is stronger than Gragas in the super early game, like the first clear, second clear. Elise has a pretty good advantage over the Gragas in terms of actual like dueling potential. So Bear can try to get invades off and set the Gragas back a little bit, or just go in for the hard ganks. The Renekton has fantastic gank setup for an Elise to try and land a cocoon. If you land a cocoon on the Yasuo while he's still level 2, or when his wind wall is down, you can definitely burst him out with a Lucian as well. So there are tools for them to get that early lead. It's just we're going to see if Wulfpack can outplay that early game and get themselves to a point where they can actually sit back and outscale.
All right, we'll definitely have to wait and see, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 3 as we do go to a very short intermission. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 3 between Honeyfruit Gaming and excuse me, and Wulfpack Vengeance.
In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are underway for game number 3 to see who will be coming out with the momentum moving into the 4th game. Again, both these squads definitely don't want to be put on the back foot. Both squads have felt the pressure of potentially being knocked out in game number 4. However, Honeyfruit Gaming definitely feel like they have the advantage. So we will have to see how this game plays out as we see an automatic push for 5 members on this top side. So do you see Dream spotting it out and saying, nope, Santa's not getting caught tonight?
Yeah, don't want none of those cookies, none of that milk. But it's definitely a good thing to look for when you have an early game comp like this, to try and just see if you can get things rolling early and often. get an invade going, mess with the Gragas' head, and make him maybe mess up his pathing by making him think things that aren't actually going on. And, you know, the timer kind of starts now for the side of Honeyfruit.
Yep.
Because after about the 30-minute point, if it's an even game, you have to give the advantage over to Wulfpack for sure. They'll have the scaling of the Maokai, the Yasuo, the Caitlyn, Yuumi, and even Gragas scales pretty all right, building the AP to maximize the damage reduction that his W grants. So we'll see how much they're actually able to accomplish, as we do have a bit of a lane swap actually with the Lucian and the Yasuo both ending up in the top lane, and Scuzzrat and Endpoint ending up in the mid lane.
Yep. Oh, they both tried the same thing. So again, Scuzzrat, it's just going to be, swap turns into, fairly standard lanes as we expected. However, a bit tankier advantages going through. We do see a travel up to the top side as Qingbear actually looked for a level 2 gank, trying to set the Yasuo a little bit behind. But again, he's playing safe, understood that the red buff was being taken, so he is able to avoid having to burn his slash potentially.
And Dreams will split the map and go in and get the red buff. But the bottom lane is on the hop, trying to catch him out and force him to back on up. That is exactly what you have to do to assert your early game power. You'll force him, and you force the flash out of him because he did not have body slam available either. So that is about as good as you can ask for the side of Honeyfruit.
Yeah, and I mean, already they knew they were going to be pressured in. They knew that they could hold the lane under the tower. So why not, right? And now, Dreams, we were talking about the jungle matchup. We knew that this was a very focal point, right? And this time around, he is being set behind. Now, Qingbear, definitely ahead in the CS game, has a 3 buff over the Gragas.
Yeah, he's unfortunately going to walk across a ward here if he tries to pass through, but it may not matter as the Ashe slows are already down and Karma's putting more slows down.
Yep, this might be a chase as we do see the repel up and down. Qingbear hoping to get it. That's going to be the heal as well. And the cocoon lands immediately into the cleanse. So all summoners burn from a single gank. Not a single summoner burned on the side of Honeyfruit Gaming.
Yeah, and that is exactly the kind of pressure you want to see come out of an Elise pick in this current meta. And with the way that your team comp is, that is exactly what you want. And they're even forcing the wave all the way in. Going to shove this next wave in all the way. Try to force them to really sit there and last under tower. And that's just Renekton stuff, man. Going in on Endpoint, press the attack for that extra power early and often in the lane compared to Conqueror, which you take for when you're planning on team fighting later on. The press the attack just does so much damage. You see just the Q completely nullified the healing of the Maokai passive right there.
Yeah, and it's definitely something to talk about as well. This accelerates Scuzz's ability to dominate the lane as well. Mid lane, remember, minions come by a lot faster, right? So it forces an accelerated pace of the laning phase. So Scuzzrat definitely happy about how this matchup is turning out. But that's a route under the tower. Scuzzrat takes a tower shot, and he says, okay, might not want to keep doing that.
Yeah, but on the other side of things, Scary Jerry's having a pretty good time so far, able to just windwall anything Lucian tries to do, and Killer Guy finds himself in a bit of trouble, but here's Qingbear.
Oh, Killer Guy taken down to about 102 HP. That's going to be a chase in. Qingbear, though, in the middle of a minion wave, so Scary Jerry might get it. He got it! That's going to be the flash Q. Scary Jerry might get a double kill. He gets it! The Madman in the mid lane swapped to top lane, claims 2 kills for himself, and all of a sudden this game already in Wulfpack Vengeance's pocket.
Yeah, and you don't want to say that's it, that's game over, because it's only 5 minutes in. But when you have what LS would just straight up call a full-on Sinner comp, it definitely throws a wrench into your plans at the bare minimum. Because now one of the scaling threats that you had, one of the lanes that you picked the Lucian to expect to do well in, has gotten solo killed. The Yasuo essentially 2v1'd. It was 2 separate 1v1s technically, but he had 1 health bar to play off of with that, and he made the most of it. Got his Berserker Greaves, has a couple of daggers as well, so he is feeling real good about himself right now. And now, the early game team is on the back foot, and that is not where you want to be.
Yeah, that 30-minute benchmark is now at about, I want to say, 27 minutes. Right? Like this is not looking good for them. And mid lane as well, Endpoint actually getting the better of these trades, got himself a tower plate from a well-timed teleport. So already looking better than he has in games number 1 and 2.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes all it takes is just pick Maokai, man.
And ban away the Mordekaiser. Oh.
I mean, that's completely fair. Like, Mordekaiser is just inherently unfair. Like, he has an ult that literally steals base stats and forces you to fight him.
Oh.
But this Yasuo is just absolutely making Killer Guy being the Killer Guy.
Oh man, that's gonna be 0-2 for the Lucian, and Qingbear as well got pushed out by Dreams. So, I mean, we knew this top lane was gonna be a point of contention because of the mid lane swap, right? But this has gone from bad to worse. Scary Jerry 3-0 with a CS lead as well. This man should be able to take this tower fairly quickly. We'll be able to rotate through the lanes and just start being able to siege along with Thorngrim. It's going to look very dangerous, but Thorngrim steps up a little bit too far. That's going to be the cleanse coming out to keep himself safe. Actually cleanse away the ignite as well. And that's going to be Yoo-Hoo taken extremely low. Flash is not up, so Yoo-Hoo is safe to grab a few more CS before backing.
Yeah, that Piltover Peacemaker. If he had a Dorn's Blade instead of the Dorn's Shield, that may have actually been a kill. Obviously, the way the lane is played out to that point kind of nullifies any sort of what-ifs about that. But you look at Endpoint here, actually beating up on the Renekton, even with a fully empowered Cole the Meek there, ended up winning out on that trade.
Yep, big hold so far. Endpoint feeling very comfortable now. Able to accelerate his level advantage as well. So been able to hit level 6 and 7, able to sustain. And again, as you stated, a very early game centric comp, where if Renekton isn't able to get a lead, he's never going to have the lead. It was looking great in the early stages, right? Looking a little bit good, but now on the back foot, down about 10 CS and tower plate. That means a slice and dice might be available, but it's still going to mean Endpoint is able to push in and get a very nice gold income for himself.
Yeah, and, Maokai is just one of those champions that he can just sit there and lane for forever. He'll eventually burn out of mana, but his passive will just keep him sustained, and they're just going in the comp. They're going Gragas.
Yeah, that's going to be the hold, as we do see a fight in the jungle as well. Orbit and Qingbear attempted a fight onto Thorngrim, but the rest of the team was there. That's a 3-on-3, and now Scary Jerry rotating down. It's going to be a little bit dangerous. However, Last Breath is not available, so that's not going to be a heavy all-in from Dreams. You see Killer Guy rotating down as well, so health bars a little bit in favor of the side of Wulfpack Vengeance, as we are looking for this bot lane siege.
I mean, health bars will always be in their favor because they have the Yumi, but yeah, definitely these trades are going in. It's just lucky he was Renekton and he still had the slice and dice available. Otherwise, he was probably dead to that Yasuo Maokai combination. And that's something you don't even really think about. I mean, I'm sure they thought about it, and that's why they picked Maokai. They're like, hey, Maokai's got a knock up too. Let's do that. But if you're just sitting there going like, you see the Gragas Yasuo, and you're like, yeah, that's it. That's the ticket, right?
Yeah.
And that happened. Oh, right. Maokai can do that too.
Yeah, easy engages all over the place, and I mean, that's what you want to see. However, because of that earlier jungle fight, they were pressured out, so that does give Honeyfruit Gaming first dragon only a mountain dragon, so not going to be the most impressive dragon. Cloud Drake number 2, which means that we might actually, for the first time, see an Infernal Soul potentially coming on board.
Yeah, and an Infernal Soul would be the cherry on top for Wulfpack Vengeance here. They can get that on their Yasuo and Caitlyn and Gragas to blow them up even harder here. As Endpoint and Scuzzrat finally make their way into the top lane, but he ended up using the empowered W on the ward, and Endpoint ends up winning the trade.
Yep. Nice little hold, and again, very happy about the current situation. He hasn't died yet. That's the good part.
Big time improvement over the last couple games, for sure. And, now with all this priority, they're getting all these objectives that if you just look at the team comps, Honeyfruit should be the ones on top of these. Instead, they're the ones set behind on the back foot. They're down the 1,500 gold as the early game comp, and man, things just do not look good for them.
Yeah, really doesn't. We do see the slice and dice going forward as Scuzzrat trying to assert the dominance that he had in game number 1 and 2. That is going to be the Rift Herald being taken already by Dreams. So we're going to be looking to see where he places that one. Looks like he might be looking towards the top lane and continue this pressure, get the Maokai ahead, and make sure there's a tank ready to back up the Yasuo. We do see the Twisted Advance going in. That's going to be the ultimates used. Bottom lane as well. Fight for fight as the final chapter is thrown down. No stuns. But Scary Jerry is here ready to go. Dominus on the top side. That's going to be a flash forward. And the explosive cast coming out. Beautiful combo coming out of Dreams there. So they claim the kill, but don't get any towers as the Rift Herald is actually probably going to be held. Endpoint back in with about 50 HP.
The only thing that could have been better there for Dreams is if he had pre-thrown his Q so that he was fully charged up and just absolutely one-shot Scuzzrat with the ult Q combo. That would have been the hype play, but even just that, just the perfect ultimate combined with the Maokai knockup, really punishing this Renekton pick already. And it just seems so counterintuitive that an early game champion like Renekton would just be countered by Bramble Vest and Ninja Tabby. Just, 2,100 gold or so in items, or 2,300, however much they are. But yeah, quick maths. But yeah, that's what.
This is why we don't do math on stream here.
Yeah. But that's what it's come down to, honestly, is just the Bramble and the Tabby just make it to where this Renekton doesn't do damage, and there's the cleanse out of Caitlyn, and the Yuumi still makes it to where Chingbear is struggling to get in range for a Cocoon, but he does hit Yuumi.
Yep, that's going to be a hit as Superstar does get the Summoner heal now. They're going to hold him. They actually survive. Big outplays coming out from the bottom lane of Wulfpack Vengeance as the teleport's coming. They're going to make it happen. 2 kills for none. Make that 3 as Orbit goes down to the barrel. Dreams coming in, claiming his first of the game. I mean, this is just a repeat of game number 2. These teams are swapping dominant game for dominant game as they come out 7-0 total in the 13-minute mark, and that's going to be first tower as well, going over to Wulfpack Vengeance.
And it wasn't supposed to be like this. Like, early game team comp all ready to go. They might be able to pick up a kill on the Scary Jersey. Misses the tornado.
Yeah, but he's going to dash away, and the flash to follow means they get the kill, but that's going to be the ultimate coming out, and that's going to be the ace in the hole claiming it. They're going to get 1-for-1 here as Endpoint actually surviving for quite some time here. Managed to survive all the way through, but no, that's going to be it. The belly slam forward doesn't connect, but it does get him in range. Yoo-hoo might go down. One more barrel does it, and that's an overall multi-kill, now 10-2 across the board.
Yeah, and they did pick themselves up a couple of kills there, but it just seems too little, too late for this comp to really be doing things. They should have been on the front foot getting things done beforehand, but just every play they went for just seemed to get countered. I mean, the Renekton didn't dominate the early lane like, happens in solo queue when you have your autofilled top laner and he's like, don't worry guys, I can just play Maokai, I'll be fine, and he's 0-3 at 5 minutes. It was like that, but with the Lucian into the Yasuo, and they put such high priority on this Lucian pick, and it didn't come through this go-around when it had come through both games before. So it's just rough times right now for Honeyfruit, and you hate to be pessimistic about it, but they might just be thinking forward to game 4 here, because it is going to take some miraculous throws for them to come back and be in a position to do anything about this game.
Yeah, 6K lead right now for that side, and I mean, one way to get it is right now. Scary Jerry's outplayed a 1v2, and he gets a 1v3 outplay. Can he get the 1v4? This is the big question. Scary Jerry under the tower has the tornado up. Might get the knockup, does get the knockback, actually jumps all the way in, is going to get stunned up under the tower, though, so he does not win. But I think a 1v1 and a 1v4 scenario, he'll definitely call that good for his team.
Yeah, I mean, they get 2 towers and the dragon as well for just the top tower and the 1 kill, but he traded back the kill. So in the end, it's just like you trade 1 tower for 2 and you get a free dragon out of it.
I mean, yeah, that's just what it is, and you have to respect, though, the proactivity coming out of Honeyfruit Gaming, right? Most teams at this point would be focused on defense, focused solely on just, okay, hunker down, farm, but they say let's go for it, right? We'll sacrifice a bit, but let's try and open the map a bit. And they're able to do it. They're able to get the kill. They are able to get the trade, and it's a very, very small step. Even if it's a step backwards, right? Still shows some life in this team to try and fight for this game.
Yeah, and that is one way they can try to fight, is to pick on the people who have the bounties. I believe that there was a bounty. Oh, maybe there wasn't, actually, looking back through the chat there. So no bounty on the Yasuo, but now Caitlyn and Gragas do have bounties, so that's probably the next target, is to just try to get those bounties claimed, just to infuse that bit of gold. Because you're down 7k almost at 16 minutes. So it's going to be rough no matter which way you do, but I agree that they aren't just killing over and dying, and that is good to see.
Yeah, very small baby steps in a game where you went down, I think, 10-0 at one point. So we will see the Rift Herald being claimed by the squad. However, the rest of the team is here. That is going to be Wulfpack Vengeance conceding it, saying, okay, you know, you kind of earned that with that tower dive in the top side. We'll allow it this time. That's going to be the Cocoon landing, but now Chingbear in a bad spot has to repel up, able to get over the wall, but accidentally blasts out the rest of the team into the ultimate disaster for the side of Honeyfruit Gaming. Scary Jerry in the backline just dueling it out with Scuzz. Such a dramatic mistake signals the run away as Chingbear now has to face the music. He is going to repel up. He is going to come down, flash away for his life, but a disastrous blast cone means his team drops 2 members.
Yeah, and a quick shot to Superstar there, recognizing that the ult wasn't hitting anyone. Jumping on into Dreams, who was in the perfect position to root up 3 people there, setting that fight up, and then Yasuo winning the 1v1 against Renekton. Still has exhaust. Knew he didn't even need the exhaust.
Yeah, really didn't, but I mean, what a misstep to have, right? Game's already behind, you were just making some headway, and then you drop 2 more, lose another tower, and now Scary Jerry's having free farm day in that top side. What more could go wrong, right? Like what else could go wrong right now?
Yeah, it's almost Murphy's Law at this point. Anything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, and you know, Yasuo is getting close to getting the Infinity Edge done. I think he actually has money for it now, so just waiting on this next wave. Has his ult available and exhaust, so you can probably still just 1v1 Scuzzrat. Scuzzrat does not have Blade of the Ruin King completed yet.
Yeah, but he's sitting on 1600. I don't know if he really wants to take this fight, but he's going to farm up the next wave. Again, this is a cannon wave. Says, okay, you know, might as well collect that extra 100 gold or 120, I think, depending on how much it is. Sadly, we don't get to see that number, as the spectator said, no, we don't want to see it. So that is going to be him backing with quite a bit of gold, as Scuzzrat might try and dance it. Actually, stops a recall, gets taken down by quite a bit, and he gets knocked up as well. And he just doesn't care. Doesn't even burn the last breath. Says, okay, I'll just take the kill. That's going to be a nice repel to keep himself alive, but only for a little bit longer. Chingbear does get away. But I mean, Scuzzrat, a little bit too overconfident there.
Ooh.
Nice flash away, fancy feet, but the knockup isn't there as another flash under tower comes out. Yoo-hoo might get the kill. That's going to be a trade 1-for-1 in that top side. Bottom lane, Killer Guy trying to fight off Endpoint, but look at the ace in the hole, completely obliterates his health bar, and that just means free towers, possibly free inhibitors for the side of Wulfpack Vengeance.
And that is why I love the double BF item rush on Caitlyn, is because it makes the ace in the hole actually do some meaningful damage.
Right?
It did like half Illusion's remaining health there, probably like, I don't know, a little bit over a third total. Whereas if you had gone, you know, your rapid fire second, you would have done like 200 damage, and it would have been a minor inconvenience.
Definitely a minor inconvenience. That's going to be the inhibitor going down now, as that is also going to signal a back away from Wulfpack Vengeance. Multiple global objectives are coming up. So they say, all right, let's prep accordingly. Yes, we're ahead, almost 9k in the lead with 5 towers to 1, but let's still make sure that there is 0 window for error. Dragon coming up in 10 seconds.
Yeah, and now Scary Jerry has the Infinity Edge completed, also bought an Aegis of the Legion towards that Death Dance. So this Yasuo is just a force to be reckoned with here. No one can stop him 1v1. It's going to take 2 or 3 people to kill him, as they've done already. The 3 times he's died, I'm pretty sure there was at least 3 people there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's taken a while I don't think he's ever gone just like a deathless, or not a deathless. I'd say a worthless death. That's what I meant. He's always gotten something out of it.
Every time, I do believe.
Yeah. So very happy about that situation. Rift Herald dropped into the mid lane. Timer was running out. So they will at least get this mid lane, but at what cost? We do see a teleport coming in the backside. Scary Jerry as well, dancing to the tune. Major split coming out. Orbit and Yoo-Hoo splitting towards the top side. And it looks like the split has worked. So very well played by Honeyfruit Gaming to dance away from that potential fight. But Scary Jerry says it's not over yet. Windwall goes out, blocks quite a bit of damage. The ultimate comes out. Root comes out onto Yoo-Hoo. That's going to be the ace in the hole taking it. Cocoon goes out, stuffs the rest of the engage. But that feels so bad as the rest of the team has to run for cover.
Yeah, and this should just be a free Baron. With Caitlyn being on 2 full items, Yasuo being on 2 full items, this should go down quickly. And, I mean, they can honestly just, like, push in the side lanes and just, like, try to end this early into the game. We were talking about a 30-minute timer, but it was for the wrong team, apparently.
Yes, it was. As every death accrued, it definitely dropped down even further. And honestly, it was not so much mistakes on Honeyfruit Gaming's side either, except for the early, disadvantage that they gave themselves by trying to jump Scary Jerry 2-on-1 and losing. But you have to give credit to Wulfpack Vengeance. They were able to rotate that lead in such a fantastic motion, right? Rotating Scary Jerry into that mid lane, getting some jumps off, and applying pressure in every single part of the map in the early stages meant there was no chance for Honeyfruit Gaming to really come back at any point.
Yeah, definitely. They are showing dominance yet again with, Thorngrim not on Ziggs, so showing, a champion that doesn't necessarily need to hit the skill shots to do the damage, showing that, just because I played Ziggs the first 2 games doesn't mean I don't know how to play 80 carries here. So, yeah, I mean, they played a different team comp too. And that was the secret of both of those first 2 games, was the teams that relied too much on scaling had a rough time, but we'll see if they can kill Maokai here.
Chopping down the tree as quickly as they can. He's life-stealing up pretty dang well. And actually might get the kill. He gets it.
He's gonna kill Ian! Oh my word.
Scary Jerry did it first. Endpoint said he can do it second. Scary Jerry says, alright, I can do it. No, I can't. He's gonna fall in a 3v1 in the mid lane. But again, 2 for 1 across the board. They're gonna lose the inhibitor on the top side. And they're possibly gonna lose the inhibitor tower on the bottom side. Looks so good. That's gonna be Yoo-Hoo falling to that fight. And a flash forward. Endpoint says, alright, we're ending it right here, right now. That's gonna be the root coming out from Orbit. Ace in the hole claims another 4 for 3 in the blink of an eye as Wulfpack Vengeance claimed game number 3.
Yeah, and just like that, that puts them on match point, and Surrender actually comes out. They don't want to see them actually hit the Nexus here, but they're just going to have to hit the reset button, is Honeyfruit. They drafted an early game comp, and literally everything they tried to do in the early game failed. So at that point, I think you just blow it all up and start from scratch all over again. And you may want to ban the Yasuo.
Or maybe just try not to 1v2 him in a poor scenario.
Yeah, I'm not sure that first pick Lucian is the be-all end-all of this series here. Like, it did great both games, but like there are things to play into it. You just got to kind of keep it in the back of your mind, or if you're going to pick it, you gotta not jump into the Yasuo and get blown up.
Yeah, that's going to be the name of the game here. However, that is going to put Wulfpack Vengeance at match point here going into game number 4. We'll have to see if Honeyfruit Gaming are able to come back once again in a deficit. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 4, so don't touch that browser.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for you, for
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we pop into draft for game number 4 here. Again, this is do or die for Honeyfruit Gaming. They are on their back foot 2-1. However, they are currently on the 100% winning side. Red side for them this time around. We'll see if they can keep that streak up or if Wulfpack Vengeance will come away with the 3-1 victory. We are on to the Rift, and we do see some changes. Thresh, Mordekaiser for Wulfpack Vengeance, and finally the Lucian banned away by Honeyfruit Gaming.
Yeah, but we will see what they decide to ban here. If they're going to leave up Yasuo or if they're going to leave up Set. Because both of those picks have been super impactful in the series thus far. But and Caitlyn still is a thing too. So they're going to pick up the Gragas here. And that kind of forces Honeyfruit into, oh no, they're going to pick Yasuo mode. And so you don't want to pick the Yasuo first, because Chingbear is a good Gragas player. So they would just pick the Gragas for themselves. So by picking the Gragas first, they're saying, all right, let's go. You play Yone or something? Like, come on, let's go.
The whole question is, again, just don't fight it as hard as they tried before. So they say, okay, you know what? We don't want to fight against it. We'll take it away. So Honeyfruit Gaming say, okay, we'll take it for ourselves. Now what do they pair with it, right? That's the big question. The Gragas is on the other side of the map. Definitely have to wait and see. So very interesting developments here in this
Another
game.
jungler that pairs very well, that can do engagey things and has knockups is Zac, but they left Volibear up. And Chingbear had a very good performance on the Volibear in game number 2. So it makes sense for him to just pick that up. Just tell Yasuo, you're just going to have to deal with it and make your own knockups. Sorry. Unless someone plays Yone and just like plays Yone top or bot or something and hits a crazy 5-man ult that Yasuo can ult off of, that would be pretty cool. But once again, with the Renekton pick, but this time for the side of Wulfpack Vengeance. So Endpoint saying, I guess I'll have to show you how to play this Renekton.
If we have another lane swap like we had in game number 3, that would be pretty funny to see. However, I don't think we'll have that. I think that Renekton is going in the top side and Yasuo is going in the mid. It could actually
just be Renekton mid into the Yasuo now that I think about it a little bit as well. Because that is something that people play into Yasuo and solo queue just to, do Renekton things into it.
Mm-hmm.
So keep an eye out on that as well. Senna is also picked up for Wulfpack Vengeance here. So, still a lot of flexibility. The Renekton could go bottom lane. It could be Renekton Senna bottom lane. That is a thing that you can do as well.
Man, we are theory crafting our butts off here, so we'll try and calm that down. Jinx is locked in, so a hyper scaling ADC for Honeyfruit Gaming. Who has so far actually had some impressive plays, no matter even in the losses. So giving over a priority ADC, something that can snowball very heavily, We'll have to see if they can make it work. 10 seconds left in the second round of the ban phase. See what they ban away first. Last few times it's been supports and mids. This time they are looking to ban away what exactly? They ban away the Ziggs. So they say we don't want to deal with that Yordle of bombs.
Yep, and that was the bot lane that they faced off against in game number 1, where they had a rough go of it, was the Zig Senna. So taking that away as well. So, we got a top and a support left to be picked for Honeyfruit. So Wulfpack going to ban out some supports. It looks like banning out the Nautilus here. And that kind of tells me that they are looking to have something very, like an actual hyper carry, that they don't want Nautilus to just ult and single out. So I'm interested to see what they're thinking of picking here.
Yep. I for one would love to see a mid lane Malphite just for the hell of it. AP Malphite would be absolutely hilarious to see in this composition. However, I don't think they're going to play that. We do see the Lux banned away as well as the Blitzcrank. So again, they really don't want to allow those quick instant ultimates coming out of the Yasuo onto Honeyfruit Gaming. They say, okay, you take away some of them, but you forgot the OG in the bottom lane. Braum coming out with that fissure, rocking out some ice to set on top of the last breath.
Yeah, and that is an old school combo. I believe Yasuo and Braum came out pretty close to each other in terms of time. So, an old school classic of knockups right there. Definitely not as easy to set up as a Maokai or a Gragas, but still very potent. So we'll see what Wulfpack wants to do here. So Morgana being locked in. So send a Morgana bottom lane is what it looks like. Unless they want to throw the Morgana mid. That is something that people like to do into these assassin type characters. Just play Morgana and no one gets to have fun.
You're not wrong. And one way to stifle the entire composition, just bring it out. So interestingly enough, I think that is going to be a Senna Morgana bottom lane. We'll see what they're rounding out. Again, this is a blind or potential blind pick, as again, top lane has not been picked up yet, it seems, for Honeyfruit Gaming. And they say, okay, we will take the Akali, been banned away. I think 2 of the 3 games last time, finally being broken out in that mid lane.
Yeah, and old Akali beat up on Yasuo, and so does new Akali, unless the Yasuo gets really snowballing early on. Akali has a really good time 1v1 against the Yasuo, but they may just pivot and say, psych, that's the wrong lane, and throw Yasuo in the top lane.
All right, so you were talking about Renekton doing Renekton things. Honeyfruit Gaming said, all right, we'll challenge that. We'll say, sure, we'll take it. And they force a Yasuo to the top lane. They put the Ahri in the mid lane, a champion that honestly has seen a little bit lower end of play recently. Again, the Blossom skin line has definitely boosted it, but still considered, I think, low A to B tier for a lot of people with their champion powerless.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different things you can do with the Ahri. You can build the Glacial, you can build the Electrocute, you can build the Glacial items without the Glacial. You can go Glacial. Well, this one's bad, but you can go Glacial and not build the Glacial items. That's just kind of wasting. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But you can play Ahri as aggressive or as passively as your heart desires. That is the beauty of this champion, is the champion is as good as the person that is playing it. Except in actual pro play. No one plays her except for Power of Evil every once in a while. But in this bracket of play, she can still be very effective. The Charm has a really long base CC duration, even at rank 1. And she does enough damage to 0 people out and is very safe.
Oh,
it might just be a Kali top, and the Renekton's just going to follow Yasuo anyway.
yeah, this is a little bit of a swap up. Again, we have seen players just swap up randomly, so endpoint could still go mid. However, what they're showing right now is the Akali top lane. So Skuzrat definitely has that option of going, okay, I can either take armor or magic resist runes, and it's kind of a toss up here. So I'm very interested to see what happens.
Yeah, he might just split the difference and take the scaling health one instead. That's what a lot of people do if they're into a flex situation. They just go, you know what? I'm just not even going to worry about it. Just take the scaling health and we'll make do. But we'll see what ends up happening there. But Yeah, I'm interested to see where this matches up in terms of these matchups because you definitely want the Akali to go into the Yasuo if at all possible.
Mm.
But then again, you also want the Renekton to go into the Yasuo. So it just kind of comes down to who can not get Ari fed the best. And in my opinion, I think that's Akali.
Yeah.
So it's like you have two counter picks for Yasuo. So in the end, it doesn't really matter which one goes up against the Yasuo. As long as they're played correctly, they should do okay. But with Chingbear playing a champion that has a lot more margin for error than the Elise, things could turn out differently here.
Yeah.
And maybe the Yasuo gets fed on the other side again.
Yeah, that would be the hope, right? You know, Scuzzrat, he was on the receiving end. No, actually, I don't believe that. That was actually the killer guy. I believe on the receiving end of that, you know, disastrous level 3 or 4 engage that ended up with, you know, 2 kills going over to the Yasuo. But I want to turn our attentions now to the bottom lane a little bit, right? For the first time, we don't really see the Ashe, Caitlyn, you know, dominating this bottom lane. What we see now is a hyper-aggressive Yoo-Hoo on the Jinx and a slightly aggressive, more early to mid-game poke-oriented bottom lane coming out on Senna Morgana. I mean, do you see either side really coming out with a great advantage in this setup, or do you think it's going to be kind of non-sequential? It's not going to really be the focus of this game.
I think the bottom lane is going to come down to if Jinx gets ahead, she can take over. If not, she has to sit back and wait and scale. And the junglers can make that happen. If Dreams camps the bottom lane, you bind one of them into the Gragas stun, into the Senna snare, into all the damage that comes out, you can set them behind. Vice versa, if Chingbear gets the Jinx rolling, like you said when she first got picked, a great snowballing option here. And that is what Jinx loves to do, is snowball the kills and get the items going. Once you get the Infinity Edge, you feel good. You get your Rune-Ons and your Rapid Fire, and you just start doing the crazy AoE, critting all over the place and making things happen. So, the Senna is just content to sit back and chill, stack up the tier, build a bunch of AD and armor pen, and wait for late game anyway. But if the Jinx gets accelerated, she will run over the Senna.
Yep, gonna be very interesting to see how they play it out. But again, we'll have to wait and see in game. Drastically different compositions here, so gonna be very fun to see what the teams can pull out and see if Honeyfruit Gaming can keep this series alive. Excuse me. Now, before we do get into game, I do want to talk about one of our other fantastic sponsors, or one of our overheads, Unified Esports Association. UEA is a Kansas-based company that oversees multiple products that specialize and operate as a dynamic pipeline within the esports industry, providing shared experiences that directly serve collegiate, youth, hobbyists, and amateur video game players at every stage. Starting as a small student group out of Wichita State University, UEA has grown to be a veteran organizer to tournaments and events throughout the U.S. They host tournaments for games like League of Legends, Rocket League, as well as Overwatch. For more information, please check them out at uea.gg. Now, with that, we will be going into a very short commercial break, but when we come back, we will be online for what could potentially be a match point in this grand finals of the Upsurge minor leagues between these two fantastic teams. Don't go anywhere.
It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this game number 4, potentially the last game of the night. Again, thank you so much for waiting with us. We did have some technical delays. We are in, again, at about minute 20. However, nothing really surprising happens as both teams really are giving the respect to each other. Again, both these squads don't want to be the first one to make a mistake.
Yeah, definitely. Team comps are not as cut and dry. One team wins at this time, and the other team wins otherwise. Actually, balanced team comps on both sides here, with the side of Honeyfruit taking away the Yasuo here and picking the Ahri, which is not something that we see a whole lot of in competitive play nowadays, but showing off the new Spirit Blossom skin. Nice and pretty there. So we'll see what Killer Guy is able to do on this Ahri pick. Is playing against Endpoints, who actually went mid with this Akali pick, and Scary Jerry gonna teach Scuzzrat how to play Yasuo, I guess.
That is the hope, and again, big points to kind of think about are the fact that, you know, these guys have played around major objectives fairly well, right? These guys have definitely tried to put some pressure down, as, you know, First Dragon is going to be that Cloud Drake, so going to be very interesting to see if that's going to be the Infernal that we hope for. Last time I think it was Ocean Soul. So I really want to see an Infernal come out, really put some pressure into build these squads to fight around that global objective.
Yeah, definitely will. But both AD carries do scale up very well as well. Obviously, Yasuo does outscale Renekton, so there's a bit of scaling disparity there. But already trying to gank up in the top side, but Scary Jerry just gonna flash away from Chingbear is so insignificant that Spectator Cam did not even want to show us. So
they said, all right, you know what, we've seen this dance 1,000 times, so we're just not gonna deal with it. And actually, Scary Jerry said, all right, I'll take that trade. Not sure if this is exactly what he wants though. So big trades coming out. Scary Jerry setting about 50 HP. Scuzzrat definitely getting those Q procs off, and could be very dangerous. Remember, there's no flash, and Scary Jerry just dies in what looks to be a horrendous attempt at trading. Scary Jerry falls after losing his flash earlier.
yeah, I mean, he got the stun off, but Scuzzrat had already channeled the Q for the tornado, so wasn't able to follow up. If he had been able to follow up and didn't get tornadoed, maybe there's a chance that he's able to pick up the kill onto Scuzzrat and at least trade 1-for-1 there, but both roots come out here in the bottom lane, though.
Yeah, that's going to be heal coming out of you, who, again, this is the problem with Jinx, is she doesn't have that much firepower in the beginning if you don't get the aggressive proactive stuns down. Jungle fight in that top side is Chingbear now getting caught out here. Doesn't really have his mid laner and gets taken extremely low. That's going to be the charm missing an endpoint. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Claims that kill. The fight was so intense. Yeah, the fight was so intense that, you know, it got me choked up a bit. As again, blows traded across the board here. Chingbear falls in a very unfortunate scenario, and Scary Jerry, we have to keep track of, gave up what, in my opinion, was a very free kill.
Yeah, and Endpoint getting the kill on the Akali is fantastic for Wulfpack here. Getting your snowballing assassin to start snowballing, getting them whatever kills and gold early on that you can, always is conducive towards victory. And especially against something like the Ahri that is so safe that the opportunities for killing her are few and far between. So you might as well get whatever kills you can from whatever misfortune may beset your opponent. And Scary Jerry trying to stack up the Fury here.
Yeah, nice little slice and dice forward to get the combo off, but Scuzzrat says, all right, I'll deal with it myself. And again, Scary Jerry comes out worse for her. Remember, Scuzzrat has that conquer, so the longer the fight draws on, the better for him. He's sustaining up extremely well, especially with that double Doran's build.
Yeah, not only the Dorns, but the passive shield as well as Thorngrim has Black Shield, will eat the Braum stun, but here's Chingbear.
Yeah, and that's going to be a teleport behind as well. Endpoint here to try and help the fight out. Orbit does get tagged, has to jump away, burns the flash as well. 4 members against 3. As Chingbear, now remember, he has no flash, dodges the binding, but dodges directly back into damage. So he falls. Second death of the game already.
And it's to Endpoint and Endpoint's E as well. Just the first activation this time, though, but already Endpoint had that Hextech Revolver, that little extra bit of burst damage coming in clutch there, getting him that lead 2-0, and even though Killer Guy is able to shove in the wave, is only up 5 CS. Oh, has some more help, but was only up 5 before queuing that wave coming on in. Did get a plate as well. So, in terms of gold, only down 200 gold, but man, you give Akali anything for free, and that is scary.
Ooh, Dreams having a little bit of trouble there. Smiting dropped down to about 77 health. If I mean, Killer Guy had been there just a second earlier, that could have been dramatically different in the first dragon take.
Yeah, it's always scary when you take a dragon that early, and you, like no one's there helping you. You're just like staring at the fog of war, waiting for someone to come out at you. But there's the last breath.
Yeah, that's going to be a fight on the top side. Scary Jerry trying to dodge away, but another knockup might be there. Auto attack does it, and Scuzzrat. We've seen this once before. We're seeing it again, but this time it's Scary Jerry on the receiving end of the 0-2 scenario. So a little bit of a win priority for the side of this for this squad.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, it's almost like Renekton's out of the game. It's not 100% there, but it's pretty much there. But Binding does land on the Jinx, no follow-up though. But Chingbear was coming in hot up there in the top lane, but decided against running on into the Akali. But I like matching up the Akali against the Yasuo here. The Akali matches up pretty well into it, so might as well stack both of your 2-kill assassins against each other and let them assassinate each other and isolate the bottom lane a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Don't give Yasuo any time to continue to farm up. We'll have to see if the lane swap comes out as well. Yes, it does look like they're going to lane swap it back. And it looks like Scary Jerry said, they're doing it. They're doing it, boss. Can I go back to top lane? No, he's going to save it. Okay. They said, we'll stay mid. We won't deal with this.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme, Scuzzrat doesn't really have that much farm, only 37 CS. So you're looking at gold, and he's only up 400 on Scary Jerry, and big-time stuns coming up, but the flash has to be blown.
Oh, Scuzzrat, though, dropping down to about 25 HP. Chingbear dodges out on the binding, so it looks like no extra summoners will be burnt. Nice little hold there as Superstar and Thorngrim come in to save Scary Jerry's life. So Renekton lives to not go down to his 3rd death in this mid lane now.
Yeah, but Akali and Gragas are coming in on the side here, looking to see if they can make something happen. Potentially set up a tower dive. The Akali ultimate is available as well as the explosive cask here.
Oh, this could be really dangerous though. 4-man dive coming in. They know there's no ultimate as he flashes backwards. Well done. Explosive cast knocks him back, but he gets charmed. So he's taking so much damage and they get away with their life. No! Super Mega Death Rocket from downtown. Yoo-hoo from bot lane says, thank you very much. I will take that kill.
Yeah, and now they can go and get this Rift Herald and push in this mid lane. Yet again, gonna let Killer Guy push in this next wave while they go and get the Herald. Orbit's up here too, so he will clear off that ward, and things are coming up good for Honeyfruit so far after kind of a botched dive, honestly.
Botched dive for botched dive, I think is what's going on here. Just trading it back and forth. You know, game number 3, it was Honeyfruit Gaming that took an unfortunately timed 2v1. This time around, it is Wulfpack Vengeance's turn to be on that receiving end. Yes, they only lost 1 member, but it was a very crucial death.
Yep, definitely is, and we'll see where they like to throw this Rift Herald here, but Scary Jerry's winning this fight. Last Breath is available. There is the Dominus.
Yeah, and that's going to be Conqueror stacking up. Chingbear says, hello, I'm here to save my top laner. Scary Jerry now without the Dominus. Does might go down? No, that's going to be the kill. 1-for-1 trade as Scary Jerry is able to outplay that scenario. Well done for him to hold on to what confidence he has left.
Yeah, he got that enhanced Kill the Meek off with the Fury there to heal on up as the Volibear burst came on down, then built up enough Fury with the Dominus going to get an empowered W off as well, which did so much damage to Chingbear and allowed him to go down to the actual AoE of the Dominus. But then Skuzrat still right there, picks up and is now 3-0. So he is definitely feeling it. Is down still in CS, you know, has the Zeal instead of the full-on Phantom Dancer, but in terms of crit, that's all he needs is the Zeal. That's the full 50% right there.
Yeah, that's, you know, when a champion can get 100% crit with only about, I think, like 2K, that feels bad. That just feels bad.
Yeah, it's one of the things that people love and loathe about Yasuo. They're like, the fact that he does less crit damage balances him. And then Riot releases Yone, and everyone's like, wait a minute here. Wait just a minute.
Echo Fighters for the win, as we do see the Soul Shackles going out. Very nice Glacial Fissure, but the stun still goes through into the root. 4 minutes of stun time. Yoo-hoo able to stay alive. Teleport coming in, and this is a brawl. All 5 members coming down to the bottom lane. Trade up on the top side as the Stormbreaker comes in, and they get the charm as well. Big is supposed to cast. Means a snipe 1-for-1. Out there goes the wall as Endpoint throws the shurikens into the Prom's shield, and now caught out on the backside over the wall. Going to fall here, shut down to Skuzrat. That's a 2-for-1. Another mining goes out to hold off the re-engage, but well done to Honeyfruit Gaming for claiming 2 on the back end of that 5-on-5.
And Endpoint just went a little bit too ham there. Didn't actually fully have vision of where his targets were. So when he dashed in with the second half there of the perfect execution, didn't really hit the low health target he was aiming for. Did do some damage, but then you're left high and dry. And no one can save you. No one can follow up with you. So he just kind of died on his own. So definitely a little bit of an overstep here. And now Skuzrat's back down here, looking to try and fight Beast Mode early.
Oh no, that's gonna be Skuzrat taking the all-important Infernal Drake. Kill on the back end, trade 2-for-1. But that is a dragon that they are so happy to claim for themselves. Ocean Soul gonna be on the table now. But trades back and forth. We thought it was gonna be a quiet game in game number 4. No, this is turning into a bloodbath.
Yeah, and Dreams, I'm not sure if he smited early, if he just didn't have it. I wasn't fully paying attention. I was trying to see what exactly the Yasuo was trying to do there. But Yasuo ended up with the dragon, and Dreams was almost dead and ended up going down, and the dragon goes down, and it's just one of those things where it's always so hard to call a dragon as a jungler when you don't have Smite available or within the next like 10 seconds. You're like pinging it to your team like, guys, Smite's not up yet. It's not up yet. Someone help me. Someone help me. And then when no one helps you, you're like,
Yeah, and not only that, it really seemed like his team was zoned off, so they weren't able to help out. That's going to be 2 plates going in favor of the side of Honeyfruit Gaming as they use that Rift Herald just as the plates are going to wear off here at the 14-minute mark now. So a little bit extra gold before they really have to start playing for these objectives.
Yep, and right at the nick of time as the plates went down, just like you said, just get that little bit of extra gold. Blade of the Ruin King should be finished up here in a little bit for Scary Jerry. Then maybe he can try to start answering Scuzzrat, because like he almost kills Scuzzrat, but that was like pre-Phantom Dancer being fully completed, so we'll see what happens with that. Does have the ability to break shields with the Empowered W, but Yasuo just does so much, but a good flash!
Yeah, Scary Jerry able to dance away, but the follow-up is there. Might try and dive it a little bit. In comes the Dawning Shadow, says nope, fight's over. So Scary Jerry able to stay alive here. Dreams is ready to back it up. Ultimates have been burned, except for the last breath. Dreams dancing around the side, but only level 8. So not sure if he wants to take the side. Endpoint tracing Killer Guy, trying to make sure his lane opponent does not get a good roam off. That's going to be a flash away as Killer Guy has to use everything to stay alive. Endpoint feeling very happy about that trade.
Yeah,
Uh-oh, here we go. Scuzzrat, though, gets the full run down, and that's going to be the ultimate as well. Scary Jerry gets that kill, and now Chingbear, no team available, turns to do one more auto attack before he falls to his death, and it looks like Wulfpack Vengeance have found their way into the kill game.
The way that Gragas just delivered Scuzzrat directly to Scary Jerry was really funny looking and amazing. But now, in the bottom lane, they're trying to fight.
Oh, that's going to be Yoo-Hoo going very, very low in orbit now, trading back. Binding just barely out of range. However, first tower did go down to Wulfpack Vengeance, so the trade not exactly the most important part of this bot lane fight.
Yeah, I mean, getting the tower against something like the Jinx is definitely a good thing to have, and you see the Senna going for the lethality items to start off with here. Knows Volibear won't be that tanky later on, or until later on, rather, and Braum is just the support, doesn't really need to worry about building a Black Cleaver, deal with that. Already has the Umbral Glaive, oh man, I can't say the word completed apparently, but I did it. And the Swiftness boots as well. So Senna well on her way. Already has the Mana Mutant almost halfway stacked on up. So this Senna is really strong and will only get stronger.
Yep, doing so well in this bottom lane. These two, Thorngrim and Superstar, we've seen them carry games before. We've seen them be the all-important deciding factor. Yes, the composition may have strayed away from that factor, but still being up there, 2-0-2 for himself, 20 CS in the lead. This man on this Senna has definitely proven himself to be worthy as the carry on the squad right now.
Yep, definitely has. And second Rift Herald will be going down, and Thorngrim had the one rough game on Ziggs. It happens, right? Game 1, he was awesome on the Ziggs, and then in Game 3, the Caitlyn performance was very good as well. So Thorngrim showing, I'm not just a Ziggs player. That was just for the memes here.
Oh,
the binding does land.
Yeah, they found the root, but that's a trade for trade. Oh, that's going to be an unfortunate as Killer Guy goes golden, saves himself from the shadow, cutting through the mid lane. That's going to be multiple ultimates burned, as well as an all-important stopwatch, as mid lane is now going to be the target of Wulfpack Vengeance's eyes.
Yeah, and now Scuzzrat's on the back foot against Scary Jerry all of a sudden. With the Tabai and the Blade of the Ruin King not thinking that he can take a fight, as we do have this Ocean Drake going on down here, as no one seems to want to try and come down and contest, with Killer Guy being back all the way in base. Scuzzrat using his Tornado, the Bork is popped.
Oh my lord, the damage is there. Scary Jerry finally lives up to his name, deletes the Yasuo off the map, and grants him dominance in the side lane fight.
So that is one thing about top lane Yasuos. They don't generally get the Berserker Greaves in a rough matchup like the Renekton can be. I think if he had Ninja Tabai there, definitely would not have gotten absolutely popped like he did, because that was almost a one-shot, just one combo. Like, one rotation of spells, couple autos, he was done. Through the Phantom Dancer shield, too. So maybe with Tabai, with that extra armor, with the auto attack reduction, probably could have lived there and could feel a little bit better, but now Scary Jerry's taken over. It has a 30 CS lead in the side lane, and obviously with that solo kill proves that he is the dominant one in the side lane.
Yeah, I mean, it feels bad when you've been, beating this lane opponent, and then he comes back at 4, 5, and 1, and has a 350 gold bounty on his head, right? Like that's just like the game's telling you that you have failed pretty heavily in that matchup. So feels bad. We did have a quick DC as we are going to go into a pause here and take stock of this game. 19 minutes and 15 seconds on the board, 9-7 between these two teams. 2 dragons to 1, 3.5k advantage going over to Wulfpack Vengeance, who look like they're on the way to potentially closing this game out and starting to, pressure their leads.
Yeah, we've got about 1,000 gold difference between the supports, 13 on the ADCs, 500 mid. The junglers are pretty close to even, and then top lane, Scary Jerry is also up about 700 gold. So that's where the gold lead is at. Only the junglers are close in gold. Everyone else has a lead for the side of Wulfpack Vengeance here. And, this Renekton, a one-shot Yasuo, essentially, just with Blade of the Ruin King and the Doran's Blades and the longsword he had. Turn that longsword into a Vamp Scepter, has an Aegis of the Legion now. I don't think that Scuzzrat is going to be able to do much to him until he gets the Infinity Edge, bare minimum, I would think. Just due to the fact that the empowered W with the Blade of the Ruin King just does so much damage. In terms of percentage of your current health, it's 12% per auto, so it's technically not 36% health because of, you have less health after each hit, but it's a lot of damage, as we saw. The empowered W took over half of Scuzzrat's health through his Yasuo passive shield, and the Phantom Dancer shield popped immediately after that, and that was no match for Scary Jerry. And that is just scary.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the implications for this game because of that, right? They on the side of Honeyfruit Gaming, they put so much priority into that top side, right? Scuzzrat was winning the top side, and Chingbear was there to back him up on a lot of those fights. And now because of that, the rest of the lanes have definitely felt that pressure. Chingbear now has to deal with the fact that Thorngrim on the bottom side and Endpoint both has significant leads over their lane opponents. And even Chingbear, he's sitting at 0-4 and 3. His lane opponent Dreams is sitting at 0-1 and 5. I mean, how does this play into the fact that now Scuzzrat is not going to be that split push monster that his team was waiting for him to be?
It definitely throws a wrench into their plans. You like you said, you invest everything early game into him, and he's still strong. I just don't think he can match anyone in the side lane. But in an actual team fight where he lands a good knockup, he might be able to make something happen. But in the 1v1s against these champions that he generally loses to just kit versus kit, Yasuo does not do super well into Renekton early on and just doesn't do super well into Akali pretty much until later on when he's got Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and a Wit's End, stuff, or Death Dance, something that he can sustain through the Akali's burst with. It's really hard for him, and that definitely kind of makes Chingbear feel bad since he spent so much time investing into that Yasuo and it hasn't reaped any dividends yet. And you have an 0-0 Ahri who hasn't really accomplished a whole lot. She's doing fine in farm, and then your Jinx has died twice as well and already lost the tower and is getting pushed in. It makes things hard for the side of Honeyfruit to really kind of come up with a game plan other than just kind of come towards objectives, see if you can land an Ahri charm on someone that catches someone out.
Yeah, and when your win condition is Ahri land a charm on a singular person and then pray you can blow him up, you're kind of in dire straits, right? Like, that is not the point that you want to be in, especially when you have the Braum and the Volibear on the backside. So definitely in a tough spot. Now let's flip the script, right? We see on the other side multiple carry options for the side of Wulfpack Vengeance. However, we have seen them struggle trying to close out a game, right? We saw them falter a little bit, saw them try and bounce around some of the lanes, and really had to rely on mistakes coming out at points in both games 1 and 3 to be able to force this out. Now, looking across the board, they don't really have a siege team, right? I think the only one that can really siege would be Superstars. So how are they looking to be able to close this game out with the lead that they have accrued for themselves?
I think 1-3-1 is definitely the answer. You send Renekton and Akali into the side lanes. You have Gragas roam around between the side lanes and show up middle, because you do have a ton of CC if a Morgana binding lands. You can throw out the Senna route as well and lock someone up for a long time. And between the three of them, with the damage they have, they should be able to catch anyone out. Scary Jerry cannot be touched in the side lane. Endpoint probably won't be either. They may not be able to kill the Ahri because, she has 3 ult charges and can just dash away. They might be able to kill Scuzzrat, but once he gets Infinity Edge, he may be able to put up a fight. But I still think that the 1-3-1 is their best option here, and then group up around the objectives, because they can put out an immense amount of pressure before the objectives and leave the waves in a good spot for them, to where if they force the enemy team to show up for the objectives, they lose something just due to the way the waves are.
Yep, gonna be very interesting to see if they're able to play it out and able to put a mark put in there. So again, thank you so much for bearing with us during this pause. Again, we had a disconnect on the side. You actually heard it just there. Someone reconnecting, so we will be into game shortly. So once again, thank you so much for working through us. This whole broadcast, really unfortunate technical delays, but it has been a fantastic series so far. And and I want to talk, this is to me not impossible, right? But if the side of Honeyfruit Gaming are able to turn this game around, able to bring out the win, I do want to talk about how that affects the potential game number 5, right? Like this momentum shift. This game definitely feels in the pocket of Wulfpack Vengeance. If this game turns around, I mean, do you think the mental side will allow Wulfpack Vengeance to try and fight for the game number 5?
And they've come this far. After that game 2, that would have been the point where they mental boom, in my opinion. Because they had a draft, they're feeling good about it, and then everything goes wrong. And that's kind of where Honeyfruit would be at after that disastrous game 3 that they just had, but they seem to be doing just fine. So I don't think we have to worry too much about the mental boom. Even from this point in the game, they're only up 3k gold, and Jinx is still a thing that exists. Yasuo still exists. Either one of those champions could still technically take over this game. Is just more of, in terms of the side lane, the Yasuo can't really hold himself up right now. But if they can find a good team fight, the Yasuo and the Jinx will do plenty of damage to where they could win a 5v5 team fight. So if Honeyfruit can find a way to force some 5v5s before the 1-3-1 gets really entrenched, they can make stuff happen. And Yasuo can still evolve to be somewhat competent in a side lane too, especially once the Infinity Edge is done. That's when you should look out for Scuzzrat to start to push on the gas a little bit in the side lane. But until that point, kind of have to sit back and wait a little bit. But looking at how much gold he has, only 400, almost 500 in the bank. So the Infinity Edge is still a ways off, even if he sells one of his Doran's Blades. But we still have about 4-ish minutes, a little under 4 minutes before the next dragon spawns. We have 45 seconds till the Baron spawns. Dreams has reconnected, so I think we will be unpausing at any moment here soon, which is great news. But we'll see where they go from here, because these neutral objectives are the hot spot for Honeyfruit to try and find a teamfight win once everyone is forced to be grouped up, instead of just being able to 1-3-1 and split off into these 2v2s and 3v3s.
Yeah, absolutely. We are underway again, back on the Rift after that long pause. So thank you so much. As we do crest 1920, we will be taking a look, because again, in that pause, a lot of stuff can happen, a lot of chatter, sometimes teams taking a look and seeing, outlining again, what's our win condition, how do we finish off this game, or how do we come back in this game. So in the middle, pauses can both be a positive or a negative, depending on how you play it.
Yep, definitely. Some people feed off the adrenaline of the game just unfolding in front of them, things continuing to happen. Some people like to be able to take that little bit of a mental break and just sit back and chill and let things happen. And some people are ambivalent both ways. They don't care. They're just like, whatever, I'm just here to play League of Legends. So we'll see how that ends up affecting these players, if at all. But looking for the invade on the red. They did get that red buff, and Dream's just sitting on the side there, waiting to see if anyone comes on in. to get some vision. Binding almost does land.
Yep, and so that Raptors pit will be cleared very quickly, and I do want to talk a little bit about these invades because it's helped accrue a little bit of a gold lead. Taking a look at the itemization, these teams are moving into that 20-21 minute mark. We do see the Blade of the Rune King done for Scary Jerry. On the flip side, we do see the Phantom Dancer. Mid lane specifically, we do see the Hextech Gunblade being completed, moving into a potential, I think, Zanya's is what that Fiendish Codex is going to be. So some of these guys do have the items ready to start moving. Scary Jerry has to pop the dominance and actually flash forward. Might get the solo kill, does get the trade back and forth, doesn't get it though. So the shutdown goes over to Yoo-Hoo, who very much so is happy to claim that extra 400 gold for himself.
Yeah, definitely will be very happy to get that. You see, gets the Berserker Greaves, gets the Zeal, gets a couple of daggers as well. So is almost at that 2-item point for Jinx, where you have your 50% crit, you have the IE backing it up, and you're feeling pretty good, especially going for the Rune on second. Then you get that AoE, you get just obliterate waves, and things get going from there for them.
Yep, nice little hold. Again, a little bit out of position from Scary Jerry, and he even burned his flash trying to go for that. So not only did he lose his life, he lost his flash, meaning Yasuo and Qingbear are gonna be able to kind of dance this out and possibly stuff Scary Jerry down even further. Again, he is very strong, but not impervious to these ganks.
Yeah, definitely won't be. You even saw him just dive in there and try to one-shot Jinx and was not able to. And that is definitely something that is kind of a problem with the way he's been kind of playing, is just he is that go in and press all your buttons and blow people up crocodile, and he's not at that point. And Yasuo's getting close to the Infinity Edge, so we'll see if they end up matching in the side lane yet again. There is the Infinity Edge, how things work out, because he is getting close to Death Stance being done as well.
Yep, hoping to get that Death Stance as quickly as possible. And now with the Dragon coming up here in about 20 seconds, that's going to be the next major objective to play around. A little bit of blast cone fun. Yeah. Everyone's topside, as the Dragon looks like it's going to be forfeit. Either this is poor positioning coming out of the side of Honeyfruit Gaming, or they are not worried about a third Drake scenario. So that is going to be on the board. Dragon spawning now. As we do take a look, rest of the squad is roaming down, Ari trailing a little bit further behind, and the Dragon is slowly being started. Gonna be a little bit slow off the mark though, so not trying to burn it down. Renekton still not in position either. So this is shaking up, just like you said, a potential 5-on-5 fight. That's gonna be a dash in, that's gonna be the dash, and they gets the binding. Endpoint dances all the way in. In goes the Dawning Shadow, doesn't really land on anyone, and that's gonna be, they're supposed to cast sending Endpoint in for the kill. Another binding lands, and 2 kills go down. Another one comes in as Thorngrim grabs a killing spree for himself. Scary Jerry running after everyone, but that doesn't matter. 3 kills for 0 as Wulfpack Vengeance cement their lead.
Yeah, and that Akali ultimate did so much damage at the end, killing the Volibear, and did about 400 damage to everyone else that was standing there next to the Volibear. Really scared him big time, and that stopwatch bought Endpoint his life. Everyone followed through. They got the binding down onto Yoo-Hoo, the Senna binding, I believe it was. Scuzzrat went down even with the Infinity Edge. Wasn't able to use his last breath because there's no knockup for him other than the Braum ultimate. And that kind of is a draft question. We're like, yeah, you want to play Yasuo? Okay, what are you trying to combo it with? Because personally, if you're going to pick a jungler and go 0-5-4, you could have at least like picked Zac and tried to give some extra knockups, or even Sejuani, and given better gank power. You have a melee thing with the Yasuo, the Sejuani passive stacks faster with melees. Lots of different things to be brought up in terms of the draft question, but we're past that point. So just looking at what they can do now, it's hard for Scuzzrat to land his ultimate is the short end of that whole little spiel I went on there. It's not as simple for him as it is when you pair it with the Gragas, where Gragas does all the work, you just press R and look like the superstar. He has to actually work to get his last breath off.
Yeah, you do have to agree with that, and at the same time, I definitely feel it was a very nice pinch in the champ select, right? You grab the Gragas first, and you say, okay, either we force Scuzzrat into a champion he might not be as comfortable with, or we force him into a scenario where we get the counter pick against this Yasuo that we know can either be a do or die champion. So, I think this was definitely a little bit of mind gaming from the side of Wulfpack Vengeance. That's going to be a dash in, as that's going to be Killer Guy finding the charm, and just like that, they found the one pick that they needed. Jungler goes down, Root goes out onto Yoo-Hoo. That's going to be the Zap going out. Doesn't slow out Thorngrim, though. So, 1 for 0 there in that little river fight.
Kind of funny how Yoo-Hoo was CC'd for like 7 seconds there. That was actually just kind of funny. But yeah, the Ahri charm. That's the one thing about this champion. You can never disrespect Ahri. Her charm, I think at base rank it's like a 1.5 second charm or 1.25, something along those lines. And it just gets more the higher you skill it up. Some Aries go W second, like Killer Guy has done. So it doesn't have all the extra points on the charm, but that amount of time is enough, especially it kind of made Gragas walk around the wall to get to Ahri, so put him in a really bad spot. But they're trying to collapse here onto Endpoint. The Spirit Rush is available.
Yeah, and that's going to be a jump in. Endpoint says, let's start the fight. Shroud goes down. But Killer Guy and Xingbear say we want nothing to do with this. So burning the ultimate for a Shroud, I think Endpoint will take that as a win. However, no, Perfect Execution was used too. So, but now we see another fight. Scuzzrat. Oh, this could be bad. That's going to be a pop-up. And the tornado gets thrown the wrong way. Scuzzrat might just die. He does. The Dicer himself, Scary Jerry, claims another solo kill win.
Yeah, and that should probably give at least control over the Baron Pit here. They may not fully 100% commit to it with Xingbear being up and being the same level as Dreams. But we'll see. If Jinx can get in and just auto everyone, this could be huge.
That's going to be a multi-man lockdown, as that's going to be the Glacial Augment, but that's going to be the death as well. So that's going to be 1 for 0, and that fight, Scary Jerry trying to dance all the way in the backline, but doesn't get the kill. This fight is breaking up 1 for 3. Now in favor of Wulfpack Vengeance. That's going to be the barrel finding a chunk out of Yoo-Hoo, and that's going to be the slowdown as Orbit now running for his life, as the rest of the squad is there to clean up. Big win for the side of Wulfpack Vengeance as they barrel down the mid lane.
And this should open up at least the inhibitor for them. Death timers aren't long enough to where they could feasibly look to end without killing everyone over again. But Perfect Execution is available, so if they do get people low, Endpoint can look to try to execute some people, but they may just go for the inhib and go back to Baron and Dragon, because Ocean Soul is 40 seconds away for them if they're able to claim it, and that could be a series ender.
That really could. Inhibitor might go down. Yes, it does. Last little minions to hit the board. Say, all right, base has officially broken at 28.5 minutes. So longer than the other games, of course. But again, this game has been nothing short of fantastic from both sides. Binding goes out, lands onto the support only. That's going to be Killer Guy getting chunked out. Yeah, big damage coming out no matter what. As we do see another Binding land once again. Superstar, though, getting chunked out by the Rockets. That's going to be Yoo-Hoo showing off that he is fed. Jumping again, Xingbear getting stunned up. Does get the health bar, but that's going to be it. Perfect Execution finds the kill, and this is turning from disaster into worse, as that's going to be multiple kills going out. Killer Guy teleports in, not able to find anything. Triple kill for Endpoint as the fight continues. The chase down is there. Scuzzrat says, all right, last breath, last ditch attempt as the kill comes through. 1 for 4 in favor of Wulfpack Vengeance as they are looking to claim this game. They say, we're done. We're not going to a game number 5. Killer Guy delivered on a silver platter to Scary Jerry. Well done as they take the series 3-1.
And they are your UML champions here for the summer of 2020. Congratulations to Wulfpack Vengeance. They had the rough game in Game 2, but outside of that, they showed that they deserve to be here. They deserve to be the champions. A couple hiccups along the way, but don't let that detract from their title.
Yeah, I mean, that last game, we were wondering about the draft, right? We were wondering about some of these points, right? Scary Jerry being swapped into that Renekton, and then Endpoint taking the Akali, right? And then lane swapping it through. We were wondering, is that going to work? And then on the other side, the big question mark, right? Killer Guy, Ari, coming out of nowhere, really seemed to not be the glue that they wanted for their entire composition. It felt like from the start of this game, it was already kind of doomed for the side of Honeyfruit Gaming.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that way. It looked good though to start off with Skuzrak getting fed, but he just couldn't translate that lead into side lane dominance. And whether that was him or just the fact that Yasuo does not do the best into the Renekton and the Akali can be debated. But in the end, they invested a lot into him and he couldn't get the job done. And even Yuhu at the end was doing everything that he could, landing those crit rockets from downtown, and it ended up costing them the series going for that play to try to stop the soul. But honestly, at that point, it's like do or die. And they tried, and they ended up falling.
Yes, they did. But again, congratulations to the side of Wulfpack Vengeance. I do want to ask your opinion now. Again, multiple members showed up in every single game, endpoint in this game. Scary Jerry throughout the entire series, and Thorngrim as well, always at Solid Rock, actually ending this game at 8-0-7. So I do want to get your opinion here throughout these 4 games in this fantastic Grand Finals series. Who would you give the MVP award to?
Well, shout outs to Thorngrim for being solid. Game 2 aside, Scary Jerry kind of set the tone for this series, right? In game number 1, he picked the Lucian mid. He made the Lucian priority a thing during this series. And while, game 2 did not go as planned, his Corki pick didn't do as well into the Lucian as he thought, then they got the Lucian pick priority for game 3, which they ended up stomping, and he put the fear of Yasuo into their hearts and made them pick the Yasuo. So just for the effect that he had on draft, I'm going to give it to him because it set the rest of his team up for success, for them to be forced into picking these champions.
Yep, that is going to be it. Then again, congratulations to Scary Jerry for taking MVP of this series, and congratulations to the entirety of Wulfpack Vengeance for taking the UML Championship. They rounded out, take it in a 3-1 series. So congratulations. Now that is going to be it from us here at Upsurge. Again, this is the last League of Legends broadcast for this summer split. But again, you don't have to wait so long. Again, we will have the next split coming in. Registration is already open. So if you or your team feel like you can take on some of these guys in these brackets, all applications will be accepted so far. And, maybe get your chance to show what you're worth. But again, thank you so much for tuning in here to this UML Grand Finals. My name is Orbital. I was joined here by Guster Posey. Thank you so much for tuning in and have a fantastic evening.